Mount has agreed personal terms with Liverpool. Boehly is a little too hands-on with the club. And Nagalsmann apparently is the favorite to take over as manager of Chelsea Football Club. Welcome, everybody, to the Casually Chelsea show. I am joined by my panel of Oliver and Real Chris and myself, Marshalldbdx. Make sure before we go ahead and get this jam-packed show started that you smash that like button, as it does help us with the algorithm and the growth of the channel. Make sure you subscribe if you are new here and you have seen the content multiple times. I think what is like 60% of you that watch have not subscribed. If you've been here multiple times, just subscribe. Might as well. It does help out the channel, and you're here for the content. You're here watching it all the time. You like it, so hey, everyone's got a guilty pleasure. So go ahead, smash that subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out when we do go live. Sometimes we do it randomly, who knows, but you won't miss a single stream if you hit that bell notification. Make sure you check out the links in the description below for all of my links, the Twitter and the Discord and all that fun stuff. Leave a comment, let us know what you think about the show and your thoughts. And last but not least, make sure you do consider becoming a member, a casual per se of the channel, as it does help us out tremendously with revenue and all that, besides ads and all that. It's a great way to really help out the channel and help us grow. And in return, you guys get shout outs, exclusive content, emojis you can use that are exclusive to the channel, which, by the way, big up to you guys who are members in our chat right now. Make sure you are spamming those emojis, and the more members we get, the more perks. So before we go ahead and start, just shout out to the proper casuals: Winter Surfer, Daniel, Strasburg, Steve, OG Turbo Jesus, Dark, and Scott. Thank you for your support. And ladies and gents, with that being said, let's get this show on a road. Let's start off with the easy, the calm and collected stuff, and then let's get right into it. Let's ramp up the excitement. So to start things off, let's talk about the Chelsea USA tour. Details about this right here. So Chelsea will play Brighton and Newcastle and Fulham in preseason friendlies in Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Landover, Georgia, I believe that is. No, Landover,
Philadelphia, huh?
No, Philadelphia, Atlanta, and Baltimore.
Maryland?
Yeah, Baltimore. I don't know why Landover's there. This is what happens when I get old news, guys. Sorry. But we never talked about it, so here we are. And then right here is this is exactly Landover, Maryland. Oh, so I think it is a Baltimore regardless. It's this is where the Baltimore team plays, FedEx Field, possibly. But yeah, it's in Maryland. We got Atlanta, Georgia, and Philadelphia. Relatively I guess popular spots, but it's disappointing there's not a New York date there. I would have really enjoyed that. But yeah, I guess they are going to tour America. It made sense that they were going to do an American tour. We have American owners after all. And yeah, it'll be a good preseason. Let's see. We'll actually have a stiff competition. It's not like they're playing MLS teams like they did this summer. They'll actually be like a proper aside from Arsenal, obviously.
Well, we couldn't
they'll
even beat
actually
them
be
guys.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. I mean, we'll talk about this later. I mean, we're gonna have a different manager. Who knows? But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But any of you guys planning to come in any of these?
Yeah, I'm planning to go free, man. Like, I'll meet you there.
Yeah, I wish, man.
The preseason, Marshall? You think I'm gonna fly over to America to see preseason?
No, Chris. See, the thing is, you don't do trips for football. You do trips for to go somewhere, and then football's just.
Hey, there's a lot of different countries I'd rather go to. There's a lot of different countries.
America's nice.
Wait, there's a lot of different countries. You'd rather go to the United States?
Oh yeah.
You know
All right,
what I mean?
name them.
I'd rather go to Mexico, Greece, Spain, even Canada. I'd rather go to a lot of places.
You'd rather go to Canada than the United
Yes.
States?
Yes.
You
boring
twerk
guy.
for Trump so much, and yet you don't even want to come
Hey,
to the United
don't
States.
bring my politics into here.
Freaking you. Okay, Chris is just.
That hurt you, I can tell. I'd rather go to a lot of places. Brazil as well.
But have you ever been to the United States, Chris?
No, I've been to Mexico though.
All right, Chris, never mind. We'll leave
That's
it. We'll
close.
leave it there. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. But hey, it's nice to see that they're actually going to be facing some real teams, and I'll be able to see one of these or two of these. Who knows? I'm not sure how many I'm attending.
Marshall,
but I'll
just
do my
another thing
best.
You
about
enjoy
this.
it, Marshall. You enjoy it.
Just another thing about this. How close are these venues? Like, are they relatively close to each other?
So, let's see. Maryland and Philadelphia are about a 4-hour drive apart.
Okay.
And I would say from Philadelphia. Wait, which one's further south? No, I think Maryland's further south. I think from Maryland to Atlanta, we're talking 6 hours.
Okay.
You know what? Okay, hold on.
I just mentioned this. I just mentioned this because the problem with the preseason last time round is we were literally flying across the country for different games, and it was just a bit of a shambles. And we've seen the report. Potter even mentioned it in one of his pressers how the preseason was just poor, and a lot of that was due to the organisation from the owners. So I guess from what you're saying, they seem to be a lot closer together. So
They are a lot closer. It's
at least
all on the
they've learned
East
their lesson, I
Coast.
guess.
Yeah, it's all on the
fair
East
enough.
Coast,
Yeah, at least
and
they've
with a plane ticket, it's about 2-hour plane.
Oh,
Give or
great! Yeah,
take.
so at least
No
they've
less.
kind of corrected that mistake.
Yeah, so it's decent. It's a decent schedule. It's nothing too crazy, too hectic, or you're traveling across the coast to coast and all that.
I swear,
So.
I swear this preseason we just had. We literally were like in California one week, and then we were in
And then,
Charlotte.
we were
North
in
Carolina.
North Carolina, and then we dropped down to Florida.
It's
It was a little
stupid.
hectic. I'm not gonna lie. We got a super chat here from Strasburg Steve. As soon as it pops up, I'm gonna put it on the screen. There we go. Thank you, Steve, for the super chat. 499 super chat. Marshall, I live in New Hampshire. LOL. I'm 4 hours from New Jersey. I'll see you at Chelsea versus Newcastle game. Yes. No, I'm not gonna go to Atlanta, Georgia. That's the one I'm not gonna go to. Actually, sorry, Steve.
Oh,
That's
no.
so far away from me. Like
Yeah.
a car drive from whatchamacallit, a car drive from New Jersey to Georgia, Atlanta,
long does that
Georgia is
take?
about 11 hours, 12 hours.
Dang.
Yeah.
I don't
sorry.
blame you.
Like Maryland's doable because it's about 5 hours, and then Philadelphia is like my neighboring state, so it's just about like 2 hours. I was just at Philadelphia last week, so these are doable. I'm sorry. Sorry, Steve, I'm not gonna see you. I'll take a picture and I'll like Photoshop you in it. But that's about it, man. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the schedule for America. We'll see. But let's go over to the next bit of news, which I wanted to talk about, which was, let's see right here, FFP and sponsorship. So the latest on sponsorship that we have here is right here from Chelsea Transfer, The Athletic. Chelsea do not have the financial capabilities of Premier League rivals. Tottenham and Arsenal have higher match day incomes, while Manchester United, Liverpool, and Manchester City all still have vastly superior commercial strength. Manchester City had almost twice the commercial income last season. A replacement for Three, the club's primary commercial partner, has yet to be found, nor has a new sleeve sponsor with Whalefin unwilling to continue with its backing next season. That amounts to a 60 million pound void to fill ahead of next season. So before we move on to, I guess, the financial fair play aspect of the club, is this worrying for you guys, especially now that we're knocked out of Champions League? Or are you in my boat, which I'll just state right now, my boat is that I think Todd Boehly knows a lot of people. He is in California, and he does own 2 clubs in California, 2 of the most popular clubs in the United States, I would say, in their particular sports. I would say I think he can talk to some people and do some networking to get one of those sponsors to go overseas and sponsor Chelsea.
It's just being realistic at the end of the day. I mean, you look at what they say there about the match day incomes. You know, Arsenal and Tottenham have bigger stadiums than us. So, and Arsenal, I believe Arsenal are one of the highest charging like season tickets in the whole league. So,
Are they?
you know, it goes without saying for them guys. And I mean, as for the commercial side in terms of sponsors, I mean, I'd take the Man City one with a pinch of salt, because whilst they are making a lot of money from their sponsors are shady as all hell. That's why they're being charged right now potentially for cooking the books. But of course, the other teams are definitely a concern. We're not on their level, so it's just about being realistic, and we've just got to move on from it. Like you say, Boehly knows people, so hopefully he can put something together sooner rather than later.
Mm.
Yeah, I will say, Chelsea do have the one thing is like we are one of the biggest clubs in England and one of the biggest clubs even in Europe. Like we are a big super club. But if Todd Boehly can convince like a huge sponsor, like we've been talking about like since near the start before like this chaotic season started, like oh we're gonna get a huge sponsor, like huge, like it's gonna be bigger than ever. But I don't know if a huge sponsor like that will come now. But like I still see like I'm not worried about a sponsor coming in like a small sponsor. I think it's gonna be a big one still, but maybe like a few year contract, like 3 year, 2 year contract, and we'll see what goes on after that. Because we ain't in Champions League, so you don't get to see that sponsor in Europe no more. So that does affect a sponsor to come in, like a huge sponsor we talked about at the very start. But I don't know the ins and outs with like sponsors and everything. I don't really look into that, but Chelsea's still a huge club. Like that's my whole point. A sponsor will come, a decent sponsor will still come. I'm not too bothered what sponsor really comes. We've already spent a lot of money. We know we can spend money anyway, so that's
Mm-hmm.
my like take on it, I guess, Marshall, because the
And
big
on
club
top of
is
it too, I mean, adding on to what you're saying, Chris, on top of it too, like don't forget, like we still have like really, really popular players. So those players alone do attract sponsorships, do attract
like an
uh
Enzo.
yeah, like an Enzo. I would say I would also add, depending on what happens with João Felix into that mix. There are
No
players
Mason Mount
that
anymore.
yeah, no more Mason out. But there are players that like can attract a crowd, can attract eyes. And I think that's one thing that sponsorships do want. They obviously want a team that the world is looking at. They want a team that people are, spectating. And when your favorite player goes to a Chelsea per se, say Enzo, now you unlock an Argentinian fan base that you didn't have before. So now you have more eyes that know, like, oh, I didn't know what 3 was until I started watching Chelsea
Yeah.
again in 2019. Now I know they're mobile. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it does the job. So I think the players also are an addition to that. So I'm not worried about the sponsorship not happening. I think it will happen. And I think even if we didn't have the players, even if we didn't have the financial, the fame, I guess, the clout as Chelsea, I still think like Boehly, being the billionaire that he is, probably has some connections that we can only fathom even having. The next thing on this topic that I wanted to bring up as well was the FFP stuff. So, respected football finance analyst Swiss Rambo estimates Chelsea are around £92.5 million over UEFA's allowable loss limit for the current FFP monitoring period, according to The Athletic as well. This is something that I brought up yesterday when I believe Ahmed was the one that said there are players that we should sell and we should cut our losses where we can, like sell if they're not, if you're not going to make up your money, just sell it anyways, cut prices. I think the issue with cutting prices when it comes to player sales is the fact that that is not going to help when it comes to FFP. Romelu Lukaku, for one, the biggest example. If we decide to sell him for less than what we bought him for, then sure, it'll make up some of that FFP money, but there's still a good chunk of dent that was made there that won't be recovered. And I don't think any club in this instance, which is in partially why I would say how Marina and Roman kind of ran before, which is like, don't let players walk off on a free. Let's get our money back by signing them and getting which backfired for us, obviously, but selling them and getting their value up so that we can sell them for more than what we made. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on the FFP situation. I kind of just rambled there for a minute. Go ahead.
I think with the whole cutting losses thing, I think once again it's just a matter of being realistic. I mean, as much as you want to get good value for some of these players, some of them just don't warrant it right now. Whether it be because they're not good enough, because they haven't played enough. You look at like Pulisic, Ziyech, they haven't played enough and that the ZS is like 30, coming on 31. Some of them you just have to cut your losses on. So, you have to do it to a degree. There are some players where you can maximize value, especially some of the ones with longer contracts, like Chalobah, who literally extended a contract this season and could be for sale. So it just depends on the player, really. But I think we've got a lot more that are low value and that we're going to have to cut loss on, as opposed to ones that we can maximize.
I was gonna say, with the 92 million, I'd say let's face facts. Reality with this, we're gonna be selling a lot more players and buying players for the summer, like people like Mason Mount, people like Gallagher, people like Lukaku, people like Pulisic, people like Ziyech, and so much more are gonna be going out this summer. So it's nothing to worry about. It's only 92 million. We're going to be making a lot more money with all the sales we make. And we're probably only going to buy like a few players, hopefully like a striker and a DM or something like that. I think those are the two main positions where Chelsea probably going to prioritize and really go for. And maybe get like a little cheap player here, like a 10 million player or something. But we'll definitely be bringing in more money in the summer. I guarantee it. I guarantee unless they're stupid, they want to spend more money and like earn. Or whatever.
That'd be silly.
Yeah, it would be silly. So, like, reality, I don't think Todd Boehly ain't that stupid to basically keep spending this crazy. We know we need a few more extra pieces and a manager wise, so it's not to worry about. I don't think it's to worry about, to be honest. Like, it's not that big. It's not like 200 million or something.
I will say, actually, the only thing I am slightly worried about is the fact that reportedly the date of when this.
I was just about to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay, just go on and do it. Yeah.
No. Go ahead and do it because I don't know it off the top of my head. I just know
all right.
I
believe I believe the date that the monitoring period ends is June the 30th. So, clubs could use that to their advantage and use it as leverage to get us to do a fire sale at the end of the month, pretty much. So, if they're smart, they'll go about it like that, and then some of our more valuable players will just go for nothing. But it just kind of depends on how they operate. It's really up to them. We're kind of at their mercy in a sense.
Yeah, which would fucking suck if you ask me. I mean, when does our season end? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
Ends in May, late May.
Ends in May, late May. So we technically have like a month to sell 9-ish players, give or take.
Yeah, and mind you as well, it's going to be even more difficult.
It's going to be happening this summer.
It's going to be even more difficult because I believe there is an international period during the summer, so that could get in the way of things. I believe it. It just does because the player wants to be able to focus on the club rather than the international thing at the same time. So, that could be a problem. I don't know the exact dates, but there is a period where there is national games.
Yeah, it just makes it harder, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I got you, Kafka. Calm. I got
me.
you.
I told him. I'm the source.
I got you.
It's on the way.
I got you. It's on the way. It's on. I'm cooking, man. Let me cook. But but yeah, we'll see with the FFP. I am worried that there is such a small window to get it done, but I'm hoping that on top of the manager situation, that the owners are also, or whoever's in charge of it, which I think are Win Stanley and not Vivel, Stewart. Thank you. They're the ones that are going to be in charge of those player outings. That being said, I hope that they're already working on it now. Whilst I'm assuming the manager situation's already ready to go and just to be presented, and it's a matter of when, not if. And it rather sooner rather than later. We will see what happens in the upcoming days with that. I'm sure we're going to hear, excuse me, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more news about that in the next upcoming days, considering there's no Champions League football and all that.
I just think that on these players though, like if we're wise, if we're gonna be serious about the rest of this season, the ownership, Winstanley, Stewart, they should be getting on the phone to some of these guys and their agents and saying, guys, go and sort your move out now. Go and find your future because it's not going to be here. And they shouldn't be playing anymore this season. Like I said yesterday, the season's done. There's nothing left to fight for. So it's time to start playing players that are actually in the long-term future and the mid-term future. So just hopefully we're saying the right things to those players and their representatives.
Hope so. You gonna say something, Chris?
No, I was actually thinking. Do you think would actually sell any new players we sign this season, except for Aubameyang, of course? Because yeah.
I think depending on what happens, depending on the rumors and if they're true or not, I could potentially see Raheem Sterling leaving. It does stink to say because I actually think Raheem Sterling is good. We've just been misusing him, and he's been, been under the management of Graham Potter. We kind of cucked him in the sense of like we had Tuchel, and then all of a sudden we sacked Tuchel, and he came here for Tuchel.
There have been
possibility.
I will
There's a
say.
possibility Koulibaly leaves too.
I was going to say that,
know.
yeah.
I will say with the Sterling, the only way I think he leaves if we actually replace him with another winger, say for example, Mane. Like if because Panny's got to leave, right? If we get Mane in, then Sterling, I guess he comes out maybe. But I don't think we get rid of Sterling if we get no replacement for a winger because I don't know if I rely on like Mudryk.
Yeah,
because we're getting rid of wingers like Pulisic probably and Ziyech.
Exactly. Pulisic is probably higher on that list, and Ziyech for wingers that have to go.
I mean, ideally, in an ideal sense, we're going to need an extra winger. In an ideal sense, we're going to need an extra winger anyway because if we get rid of Pulisic and Ziyech, that leaves us with only 3 wingers. That's Sterling, Mudryk, and Madueke. I'm not counting Hudson-Odoi, by the way, so let's just not. So we're going to need an extra player for that right-hand side with Ziyech leaving.
Yeah, Ziyech is definitely gone. It's a tricky situation for sure. I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think if we do go for a winger, it's probably going to be in January once the books are sorted out. I think right now there's been too many incomings and not enough outgoings at all, especially in that January window. So there needs to be outgoings. But if it's going to be 9 total players, I think there's 9 total players that can go in that list, including Gallagher, Mason Mount,
Mendy,
Mendy.
The other wingers like. No.
Pulisic,
I reckon
right there is 5. Right there is 5.
We
so
do
we
not
need 4
sell
more.
Kovacic.
And
need midfielders.
There's oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. No.
We need on paper,
Lukaku.
Oh yeah, Lukaku. I mentioned him earlier, didn't I?
Lukaku. And there's probably more players. 3. We could definitely get 3 more players.
Did you mention Gallagher?
Think about.
Can we get 2 million for Bakayoko?
Yeah, exactly. There's other people that are on loan that are coming back that we can definitely get rid of. So we'll see what happens. But we're definitely not going to be going for anything more. I hope we're definitely not going for anything more than a DM and a striker. So anyone in chat say Kvaratskhelia or Leao or whatever. Hold your breath, okay? Because it probably won't happen, but we'll see. Let's go on to the next bit of news that I wanted to talk to you guys, which we never got to talk about, and I did want to discuss this more broadly, and it's the Mikel comments. So you guys probably already all read the comments. You probably already know what he said, and I haven't even really read the comments too in depth, but I did want to discuss the idea of this even happening. So let's just go ahead and read right here. So 3 tweets. Jonathan Mikel. I like the managers who always motivate you and is always passionate and tell you what to do. Sometimes players need a kick up the backside. With Graham Potter, I wasn't seeing that, but also with Frank Lampard, I wasn't seeing that. I hope to see that now. Obviously, comments in reference to the recent appointment of Frank Lampard. So Jonathan Mikel also states, it's about the money now. It's not about passion. You don't see those things in the dressing room anymore. When I look at this Chelsea team, who do you think is leading the dressing room? There is no one. Even Cesar Azpilicueta, who has been there for a long time, he is such a quiet, lovely guy, but he doesn't look to me like someone who is going to be that. I'm sorry to say, but you need those people.
You know what? He's speaking facts there, all of it.
All right, well, let's continue. Jonathan Mikel on Graham Potter's sacking. Was he given enough time? I think so. He's been given a lot of time. I think the club made the right decision. Was the club too big for him? Maybe. He doesn't communicate to the players enough. So I don't mind. I don't disagree with what Mikel's saying at all. I might have a slight disagreement with the Aspie comments, but I know where he's coming from, and I can definitely see it being either one or both ways. The thing that I'm not the biggest fan of is that how does this help the situation in any way?
What do you mean?
Like, does this add to the solution? Like when this was coming out, there was already like such a ruckus and just a mess and toxicity within the fan base about the whole situation. Get Potter out, people fighting about Lampard being the next appointment, people on Boehly's ass about not selecting the next manager, constant critiques of the ownership and all this and that. I don't see how John Obi Mikel coming out and saying this helps that in any way or helps quell those fires in any way. If anything, I feel like this inflamed it more. I feel like saying these things as someone who is a former Chelsea player, as someone who is a fan of the club, who loves the club. I'm assuming John Obi Mikel loves Chelsea, which why else would he be doing this if he
grew up
didn't?
here, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like someone that loves the club, I think you're just better off not saying anything and maybe just saying like, hey, disappointing to see how the club is going, but back the club, back the managers. Right here, just coming out and saying like, Aspie, I don't think you're a good leader, or Graham Potter was given enough time. They're basically implying that these weren't the right managers for the club, and even implying that Lampard isn't the right manager. Does that really help Chelsea Football Club?
I will say, honestly, it can't get any worse the way we was going. I'm assuming he said this all after like Southampton and all that, right?
No.
Who knows when this is recorded?
No, because he's talking about Lampard, so this is around Wolves.
It's exactly. So this is way later. Honestly, this season's been absolutely done for. I don't think there's any like difference what he says. And with the Aspie, I think Aspie's more of a better leader by example on the pitch. But he is actually right about Aspie. He isn't a very vocal guy. I think Thiago Silva, who doesn't.
But you don't have to be a vocal person to be a good leader, though.
That's his point.
I do beg a differ. I think.
Well, look at Lampard.
Lampard is still more vocal.
Lampard's the same thing as Aspie, though. He's a leader by example.
Yeah, he's more, but he's still more vocal and Aspie. And he wasn't our captain, by the way. It was obviously John Terry, who was vocal.
Yeah, Mikel's referring to a John Terry type of leader.
Yeah. Like I don't think he's like completely wrong as well with all like what he said. I think he spoke literally a lot of facts. I'd rather him not be PR and fake, and I'd rather him spit the truth, because I even saw what Drogba said as well. I don't recognise this club because this ain't the same club what we all fell in love with. This is a club of like shambolic, like just overspending.
Chris, don't get me wrong. I love hearing this from a former Chelsea player. I agree with Mikel and what he's saying. The only issue I have is that I just don't see how it helps Chelsea Football Club. If anything, it just makes it feel like more. I just feel like it makes it seem like more of a dagger. When you want one of your former players to be more supportive, instead you come out, you read your morning newspaper where you're teasing crumpets because you're in England, and you fucking see. Shut up. You fucking see in the headline like, oh, Mikel doesn't think Lampard is the right manager. Like, do you think that makes you feel better?
No,
you think that makes you think that's going to improve?
Gonna bullshit us. No, to me, I know what you're saying. Like, it could be a bit of a dagger, but our season's just so shit, yeah? Like, it can't get any worse, so I don't see the point. Like, just spit the truth at this point. What's the worst happen? All it can do is actually, like, maybe it actually could be a positive thing. Like, you know what, we're being shit, actually. We need, like, up our game, because everybody's looking at us, and, like we're embarrassment to the club. We're embarrassing ourselves as players as well. Like, it's... Like, I don't mind that, because the way where we are and the context we are and the situation we're in, we need something like that. I like to see stuff like that at this point, but I guess we speak differently.
I was going to say, there is a massive side of me that does actually appreciate the honesty from him, because all I hear about when it comes to Potter and Lampard is, Potter wasn't given enough time. Richard Keys, that idiot on BN, he said that what does Nagalsmann have over Lampard? Like, it's just brain dead comments. Like, I want my pundits and I want my analysts. I know this is a radio interview, but when I want to listen to football, people talk about football. I want it to make sense. So, that he said nothing out of line there for me. I mean, does it help the situation? Maybe not, but at the same time, nor does silence.
Fair enough. I just think like in situations like this, like the Drabo situation and John Obi Mikel situation, I just think there's a time and place for it, and
Where's the time?
almost
place?
like the end of the season.
Oh, right, okay.
Like, think about it this way: if Romelu Lukaku had come out with that interview at the end of the season versus the middle of the season when he did, do you think the amount of explosive reactions would have been nearly as much?
I mean, it's pretty much the end of the season.
I would say it's different context. Like, our season's done.
Well, December wasn't. Well, no. I just mean like December. Yeah.
That season, we was actually still a decent team, and I think Lukaku did it way earlier. It's just like, obviously, he
did it in November.
He filmed it in early November, yeah.
Yeah.
But if he had said that, what I'm saying is, how would you have reacted if he had said that, let's say, June, like close to the end of the season?
Yeah, less.
Or May, rather. I'm sorry.
For me, I'm a bit different. I didn't give a shit too much about Lukaku's interview. I didn't really enrage because, as long as he performed good and obviously didn't perform that great, I didn't care. But obviously he didn't. So obviously that failed for that. But like, I don't think with this, like you say, end of the season. I think our season's done anyway, Marshall. Like, what
Sure.
can we really fight for now? If you look at it, what can we fight?
Stop Arsenal winning the title.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think we can do is try get 3 points or 2 points off Arsenal, and that's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, our season's dead.
Yep.
Mikel, just cook us, man. Cook us even more, even more.
Yeah, have a barbecue, man. Jesus. All right, well, that's that on the Mikel stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about left back signings, actually. So there's been a little bit of a discussion to be had about our left back situation right now. Here we go. Chilwell and Cucurella. So let me pull this up. Bear with me 1 second, guys. I'm multitasking. Also,
I would say no to it.
If you are already here, by the way, 50 of you watching, make sure you smash that like button. It's free to do. It helps out the channel. And if you're liking the content, it would reflect that. So go ahead and do so, please. And let's go ahead and continue the show right here. Here we go. So Fabrizio Romano came out a week ago, a week and a half ago, saying Ben Chilwell will sign a new long-term deal in the next days, as David Ornstein has reported today. Chilwell has already accepted the clause and conditions of the deal. It's done. It's been, and it will be sealed soon. New contract will be valid until June 2027. So that is a 5-year contract. No, 4-year contract.
It's a 2-year. It's a 2-year extension onto his current contract.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
His old one expired in 2025, so this is +2.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Nice. And
So
I'm not
we're
opposed to this,
we're
by the
committed.
way. I am not opposed to this at all whatsoever. I do think Chilwell is one of the better players in the team. And the next tweet that had me discussing this is Fabrizio Romano. Marco Cucurella signed just 8 months ago. He is fully focused on Chelsea for sure. Chilwell is an important part of the project because the Blues want 2 players per position, as all top clubs do. That being said, overall reactions on the Chilwell signing. Are we happy with it, or should we have tried to sell him and get someone else? I don't know where you guys stand.
We shouldn't.
I think you guys both like
as
him.
a player, like especially if he plays wing back as well.
Also,
like,
chat, let me know.
Attacking wise, he's actually really good. Scoring goals, he helps us scoring goals. And we need our defenders to score goals because our attack don't score. I don't think he's that bad defensively. Yeah, he's a bit lack sometimes. He does lack it sometimes, but like I don't think he's that bad. Especially if he's actually playing left back, not left wing back. Because left wing back's a bit different. You're not really like required to defend so much because we're more of attacking when we use the wing backs. But left back, I don't think he's that bad because I've seen him defend really good, especially under Tuchel. Where he did play left wing back and he trapped back up and down a lot before that injury. I think after his injury, he's slowly easing into his like old self. I think I've seen like definitely moments this season a really good bench show, and he's even saved us games here and there as well with his goals and everything. So very happy with Chilwell. I've always rated Chilwell. I know some people don't, but there isn't really a whole lot of left backs you can really buy for me. I think Chilwell's a solid player you have, but if anyone else wants to sell him, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. The 2-year extension works perfectly because that takes him up to about 30 years old at the end of his contract. So
Mhm.
that's a good age. And in general as well, there are still fans have question marks over his durability and his injuries. So you don't want to commit too hard to a contract. So I
Uh-huh.
think what we've done is smart. We've allowed a window to maybe move him on if this injury thing that's been happening ever since 2021, if that's a reoccurring thing, we've left ourselves a little bit of leeway to move him on with the contract not being too long. And yeah, like you say, he's just a very reliable player overall. There are some deficiencies to his game, but I just think this team has been coached so poorly. I think
Sure.
when we get a proper manager in, they will help him with his movement, with his passing, because I've seen a better player in him than I'm seeing right now. And everyone in the team is bad, so you can only point to one direction. It's the coaching.
Mm. Do you guys,
Nope.
Chris? I know we had this discussion before. Do you think that Chilwell has lived up to his price tag yet?
Oh, Chilwell. Oh yeah, yeah. It's only 50 million. 50 million for an English player as well. You got like take account. He's English, so he's got a little bit extra because it's homegrown or whatever. Yeah, fully lived up to his price tag fully. He's helped us win Champions League. He's helped us win games. He's definitely lived up. I don't think 50 million today's market is literally what you get for a standard player, and I think he's lived up to like the standards of like helping us do stuff like that, like winning Champions Leagues and shit. So yeah, he's lived up for it.
Oliver, how do you feel about that? Because I
I'd say
remember
just
when we brought him in, that was like a big thing. Like, oh, dude, this guy's 50 million is a lot for this
well,
player.
the problem when he came in was that the initial fee was around 80 million. That's what Leicester were going to try and hold out for. Yeah, they just sold Harry Maguire for 85 million. So, the English tax plus.
And they sold for Fana for 70 to Chelsea.
No, I'm talking about 2020 though. Whenever we
Mm.
bought him, this is before. So,
Oh, okay.
when you're able to
Mhm.
sell Maguire for that, and you got to keep in mind as well, Chilwell at the time he's around like 23ish, so still
Sure.
kind of like on the edge of young. So they found that he had good value. They could capitalize on that, but thankfully, and this is where I will credit Marina. She managed to negotiate the fee down to 50, and I think it's acceptable. I mean, I can't deny that he's obviously not played enough football over the course, and that's because of injuries. But I think when he
Sure.
has been here, he's done all he can, and for that, you can't really fault him.
Yeah. Listen, I think Chilwell is one of the better players. Well, he's not the best player, but I would say like of all the players in our team, I think he's in the top 3 for me. I think he's a very pivotal part of this team, especially if we were playing a wingback system. I think without him, our game does significantly drop. I'd even argue more than when Reece James is out. So,
Lately, he's
well,
playing better than Reece James, I would say.
that too.
Yeah.
That too. So yeah, happy he got the contract signing, and I hope that he continues to play well and hopefully on his way to being a Chelsea legend. Because I think he's not going to be better than Ashley Cole. I don't think that. I'm not going to put that on him either.
Where you
But
compare is to like Aspies or Ivanovic, if you're talking about fullbacks.
I think he's just like a solid, like not even like a fullback really. Like he's almost like a left midfielder when he plays.
When he
with
plays
this three-
wing back, yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
left mid.
That's the word though. I call him solid. There are people that
Yeah, he's
overblow
very
it.
solid.
There are people that
Yeah, yeah.
overblow it, and then there are people that say he's terrible. No, he's right in the middle. He's just quite a consistent, steady hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is going to be one to look for as well, Malo Gusto. We'll see. That's
I'm
an exciting
excited
thing
to
about
see it.
next season. Next season, despite no Champions League, we still got some players through the door that we're going to be seeing, and it's going to be exciting to see them. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic that I have prepared for you guys, which is Mason Mount. Let me go ahead and get this on the screen real quick. But yeah, there's been recent news about Mason Mount and his ongoings and where he's going to be if he's not signing the contract, which it doesn't look like he's going to be signing the contract, the new incentive-based contract that was given to him or offered to him, 3 times now? We offered him 3 contracts and he's turned them all down. So
Don't know the exact amount.
It's about
Be-
something like 2 to
belie-
3.
All right.
believe what you want, but that is the news that has been touted and repeated multiple times by the brown envelopes. Anyways, so Mason Mount, here we go. Liverpool will now focus their attention on other targets, including Chelsea's Mason Mount, who is set to leave Stamford Bridge this summer. This is coming from The Athletic earlier in the week. And I guess James Parcel, which is another source from Liverpool's end of the news. Then further on, we find out that Mason Mount is going to be valued at £70 million, according to David Ornstein in Sky Sports News, which, do you guys think that's a fair deal?
That's actually really good if we get 70 million. He's on a year contract number, Marshall. A year contract.
I
Jesus.
think we'd be lucky to get that.
Yeah.
That's pushing our luck, in my opinion. But hey, if they feel like they can get that, then by all means, because this is a player. Whatever we think of him, this is a player that does hold some value.
We're driving.
and
We're
down
driving
below,
Mason
by the
Mount
way.
today. Oh yeah.
And down below, by the way, you'll see Ziyech, Mount, Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek, which I forgot about. Aubameyang could all leave, and there will be many changes to Stamford Bridge. So yeah, even Loftus-Cheek is someone that could be counted towards those
20
9
million,
and
maybe, if
fetch a
lucky?
nice price. I think more. I think
reckon?
Loftus-Cheek will go for more. I don't
Fair?
think he's a bad player. Everyone keeps forgetting.
Yeah, but
He's
it's
not
injuries.
a bad
It's
player.
injuries what can hinder.
What
And
injuries?
how old is? Wait, what injuries has Ruben had?
What did he have this
does
This
have
season,
on and off.
not so much.
He has on and off back injuries.
Yeah, the average
like-
injury. Yeah.
That's just the way he is. Because ever since he started hitting his growth spurt, he had back problems since he was a teenager. So it's just kind of an ongoing thing throughout his life, really.
All right, well, let's continue the show. Mason Mount's future will be decided before the end of the season in conversations with Chelsea. This is coming from Fabrizio Romano. And then more recent tweets that we have right here. Liverpool are stepping up their attempts to sign Mason Mount. Mount has shown no signs of extending this deal, according to Jacob Steinberg, and extending his deal with Chelsea, not with Liverpool. Mason Mount is Liverpool's priority in the summer, according to Fabrizio Romano. What do we have here? Nope, nothing here. Okay. And last tweet that we have here from this is This is a tier 1 source from Newcastle.
Yeah.
For Newcastle. Newcastle have made an inquiry for Chelsea midfielder Mason Mount, but the numbers involved are prohibitive because of the financial fair play and a desire to protect their current salary model. An asking price of 80 million. Wow. An asking price of 80 million pounds. Yeah. And the weekly wages of at least 250 pounds a week have been quoted for Mount. Holy shit.
He's so full of himself, isn't he?
Jesus Christ, that's so much.
He's such a replaceable guy as well. He isn't nothing special, and this is what I don't
Gallagher,
get.
for example.
He's a better
Gallagher's
Gallagher.
replacer, pretty much.
This is the mad. This
You
is
don't
the mad
think he's a
thing.
better Gallagher? I think he's a better Gallagher. Come on.
This season, Gallagher's been better than Mason Mount.
Because
that's
Mason Mount is
splitting
on
hairs.
handcuffs.
Is it
He's on
splitting
handcuffs.
hairs?
Yeah.
We can look at the stats.
No. That's depressing. We're not putting a stream through.
We'll do that in the summer. We'll do it in the summer. We'll have the summer. Like who was the better?
I'm sorry.
Who did it better?
No.
Mason Mount or Blonde Mount?
Bro, do you want to get viewership?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I won't do it. Never mind.
But no, this is kind of like what Newcastle do, really. I remember in January they signed Anthony Gordon, and I don't know what wages he's on, but he went for 40 million, and he's a dead player. Like Anthony Gordon, he's so maybe
I don't know. I don't know
me-
how Liverpool are affording that salary, to be honest.
I mean, this is where it doesn't make sense because we're getting this 250 figure here. But and by the way, that would make Mount the second highest paid player at the club behind Salah. And there's just for the role that they're going to have him playing, there's no way he will get offered that. But it kind of makes sense. That the link in general makes sense because of the profile he is, and also because of the fact that they just pulled out of the race for Jude Bellingham, so they need an alternative. So that's why they're looking around for Gallagher, Mount, and what's his face from Wolves, Nunez. They're looking for alternatives.
Yeah. Can I say as well, like with Mason Mount, like when I talk about replaceable, like you look at Chelsea right now, even as an 8, if you want to put him as an 8, is he better than Kante? No. Is he better than Kovacic? No. Is he better than Fernandes? No. He's like the fourth choice of anything, right? And if you want to say, oh, but you can go attack, is he better than João Felix on the ball and anything like that in attack? No. Is he better than Sterling? Like no, as attacker. Is he even better than Madueke? I don't think so either in attack either. Like purely like attacking wise, but he's just he's nothing. There's nothing special about Mason Mount. Yeah, he's a decent player. I don't think he's a shit player. I never have really said he's like a shit player. But the problem is, well, I think with the fan base as well, it's not a factor why he's getting sold, of course, but like the factor of like not factor, the player stands for Mason Mount are just so toxic. Like people like Johnny can go away with Mason Mount if he goes to Liverpool. Go watch Liverpool and watch Mason Mount if you like jerk off to him. But he's not gonna be at this club much longer. So yeah, like he's not a special player, Marshall.
What are you gonna do backstage, Chris?
No, like no, it's just not a special player. I don't understand it.
No, I just want to address big up Xavi, CFC. You guys have probably seen him a few times on Carefree Lewis streams. OG from the Monster streams from back in the day. But just to correct the notion, I'm pretty sure it wasn't that we turned down 45 million for Gallagher, but that Gallagher did not want to go.
He will
Gallagher
only leave
wanted
Chelsea,
to play for a top echelon team.
a top 6 team, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, that's just correcting the notion there.
Well, all I'm going to
I
say
think
is
Chelsea wanted to sell him, but it's two
all I'm
it's
gonna
two
say
parts.
is,
People
like,
forget that there's two parts to the deals here. The player has to agree as well. It can't just be what the club wants.
it's actually 3 parts.
I mean,
it's the buying club, selling club, and the player. And even sometimes
fair
you've got
enough,
the agent. You got the agent getting involved as well. So there's multiple things to it. But all I'm going to say, Gallagher, get ready to learn Chinese, buddy.
The Chinese.
You want a top 6 club.
He's gonna get kicked out from. He's gonna get kicked out from that league, man, so quick. This player's shit as well. Oh, that's funny.
My goodness, man. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be an interesting summer for sure. Would you guys actually, if we got rid of Mason Mount, would you guys actually also want Gallagher to go?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a difficult one because you were talking about Mount being replaceable there, but the thing with Gallagher is he is literally like, if we want that kind of profile, he is literally that replacement, and he is happy to be a squad player or whatever. There's no audacious.
That's the thing that I like about Oliver. I'm glad hold on, Chris. I'm glad Oliver brought that up because that's the thing about Mason Mount versus Gallagher. I like Gallagher's attitude. Mason Mount's attitude, the angry eyes and all that stuff whenever he didn't play, like I don't like it. And especially now with all this contract talks and stuff, I don't like his attitude. Gallagher, and I think Matisse put this perfectly, I think, in an All You Can Eat Chelsea episode. He said that Gallagher is the type of player is that, dude, I'll play wherever you want me to play as long as I play.
That was the old Mason Mount. Then he got greedy.
Yeah. He got an ego, yeah.
But with me, when I said replaceable, Oliver, I mean any decent midfielder. Like we can bring in Lavia, who will probably be more useful to Chelsea's midfield over, example, probably Mason Mount right now with his old attitude and wage, because the wages does actually affect FFP as well. So
sure, yeah.
So Mason Mount is not that guy to be worth it taking that wage. He's just not worth it. He thinks he is, and fair enough. Go do it to Liverpool. You probably won't do shit because you got shitty owners anyway. They're gonna be like surrounded with bums and all that. But no, you can just get Lavia when Southampton get relegated. We can maybe pick Lavia for 40 million, and we can probably sell Mason Mount for 50, 60, hopefully.
I mean, if I had it my way, they'd both be gone because they're just technically not of the level. This is one of my worries about, and we're going to get on later about Nagalsmann being the front runner. I do have my skepticisms on whether he will. I don't want a manager that's going to adapt to this squad because this is why we stagnated under Tuchel. He didn't replace enough players. He didn't want to shake up that midfield, and we eventually stagnated. And I don't want a repeat of that again. So I want someone to come in here and leave their mark. So if it was my choice, I'd probably want them both gone. But we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Before we continue, ladies and gents, almost 60 of you guys watching. Have you smashed that like button yet? And have you checked out our links in the description? Have you considered becoming a membership or a member? Not a membership. Don't become a membership, but you can become a member. So make sure you check out 4 different tiers starting at 99p. That's cheaper than a coffee. So
we don't know what's. Sorry. To Eugene, like we don't know if Santos is gonna cook. It's gonna be like 3 years until we see him probably to senior team, maybe 3 to 2 years.
Oh, true. That's another player that we might see next season.
I have
we might
no
go back
idea
out on loan.
what to expect. Alone would be good first.
I think he's actually now qualified for his visa or whatever. He can actually play in the Premier in England now.
Finally.
So that's a step forward.
There's a decent amount of question marks for next season. I mean, you got to remember too, Armando Broja is another one of those players that he's a player that we had and was injured.
I think he's a huge question mark.
It's a big question mark on him too. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and continue the show, ladies and gents. Thank you for smashing the like button, and thank you for watching. Let's go ahead and talk about lack of Rudiger. There have been a few comments leading to the Champions League in regards to Antonio Rudiger that I thought were interesting that I did want to bring up. So let's go ahead and discuss it. Simon Phillips reporting, Tony Rudiger has been sorely missed this season. He was a real character around the place. A source close to one of the senior players told The Athletic he was the top guy, a great guy to have in a dressing room. Lots of players looked up to him. He was a John Terry-esque. There was a few times where the team were struggling, and at halftime, he would just go in and let rip. Thomas Tuchel would kind of let him off the leash and then would step in to calm it all down. Jesus Christ, Rudiger. No wonder people called him a bully. Anyways, we continue. Source, The Athletic. Antonio Rudiger still messages some of his old teammates at Chelsea. The bond between players who won the Champions League will never be broken. Rudiger should never have been allowed to leave. The new hierarchy know that, but the fact he did was not because of them. No surprise really here. Rudiger was an amazing player for us. We wanted him to stay, but
we got sanctioned.
Well,
it wasn't just the sanctions, Chris. We had plenty of time before
UK
those
government
sanctions.
had agenda. They stopped us.
We had plenty of time before those sanctions in order to put a contract on it.
Yeah, but we didn't know when the sanction was gonna hit.
You still get for a priority player like him, and at the time Andreas Christensen as well. For priority players like that, for starting centre backs, you have to get those done early.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I can do it because Andrew's not here. Do you guys also think that maybe Rudiger could have been a little more patient if he really wanted to stay at the club?
No.
Because we all knew that we weren't going to be sanctioned this season. We all knew it was going to get resolved.
I didn't know it was going to get sanctioned like that until it just happened. But I don't blame Rudiger. Rudiger has to look after number one himself. Like that's all.
His family.
There's no loyalty in football. People thought Mason Mount was loyalty to Chelsea. Look at him. He wants to leave now. Like there's no loyalty in football. He's got to look after himself. Sure, I wanted to keep him and everything. I think he suits I think Rudiger suits the Premier League and Chelsea more over Real Madrid and Spain. I think he does, but. I don't know what wage he's on Real Madrid, but I think he's on a super high wage. So that's like another factor why he's got to think about himself. Like that's what it is. Like, that's what it comes down to. And Real Madrid are a huge club. Like who doesn't want to play for Real Madrid too? So I know what you're saying, Marshall.
Starter at Madrid. That's the sad part too.
He does start, but he doesn't always start every game. I have seen him start many games too, but I
was hoping he'd be a nailed on, you know.
It's his first season. I remember Courtois in his first season. Courtois in his first season for Real Madrid was awful. If any of you remember, he was awful. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he even threw up a half time at one point because he's having problems like with his mind or something. I don't know. He was like really going bad for him.
He's really nervous about it.
He was something was going wrong anyway. And it's just his first season. Rudiger is a very good player, very aggressive, very old school style like Ramos player. But I see what you're saying,
Pepe,
Marshall. I
yeah.
would love if Rudiger like waited for Chelsea and been proper Chelsea and I'll wait for you, Chelsea. I'd even play for you for free if I have to. But no,
Yeah.
reality, he's got to think about himself. We all know like players do that.
Yeah.
It's a game of football. There's no loyalty. We're not loyalty to players or managers either, because like we was ready to throw Rudiger out to Tottenham
Yeah,
because we weren't
we were
using
going
him.
to sell him under Lampard, and then a year later we're trying to give him a contract. Like it's a bit, it's a bit two-faced, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I
a little bit.
mean, yeah,
but
to be fair to
it's a
Rudiger, and I
situation.
said this last season. I said this last season for people that were calling him snakes for leaving and stuff. I was saying, like, dude, he doesn't owe this club anything. The amount of abuse that this guy has held from our fan base was so unfair, and unnecessary as well. But yeah, I mean, if I was in Rudiger's shoes, I probably would have done the same exact thing, considering he didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know what was going to happen with the future of the club. You have Real Madrid saying like, hey, we have a contract for you, and Chelsea right now don't have the money or can't offer you a contract, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Why not? I mean, you got family and stuff to think about, so I don't blame Rudiger for leaving either. Like I said, I was simply playing devil's advocate, but
The only
yeah,
snake
no,
we had is I would say like arguably is Courtois for making us like basically sell check to Arsenal and basically forcing a move like him or me, and then he fucking wanted to move because he obviously missed his family. He couldn't decide that back then, though. But yeah, Courtois the only snake in my eyes for Chelsea.
Another couple.
it's
Yeah.
up there.
He's a
It's up
dickhead,
there.
right?
You pick
He's
your
stupid, man.
Belgian. Pick your Belgian. Pick your Belgian.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and
Christensen's
talk
not
about.
snake.
Let's go ahead and talk about the next topic here, which is Boehly's recent comments. All right, so this is going to be an interesting one. All right, so Kepa on Boehly reportedly calling the team embarrassing after defeat in Brighton. Todd comes to the changing room every game. He has different chats with us after different games. I'm not going to say what he said, but it is normal when he comes to the changing room. That is being reported from Nazar Cancella, according to Kepa saying that. Then here we have a Sky Sports News article, which I'm going to zoom in real quick here. So title here, Frank Lampard, Chelsea caretaker boss insists team is not broken with anything possible against Real Madrid. So I'll try to read this pretty quick. Chelsea are not broken team, and the club's co-owner Todd Boehly had every right to address the squad he has invested in. Manager Frank Lampard said on Monday ahead of their Champions League quarterfinal return leg against holders Real Madrid. Chelsea, who trailed 2-0. Okay, we all know this already. Anyways, with points up, winning the Champions League. Okay, this is all. None of this is any new news. Here we go. The 44-year-old said, "We are not where we want to be. I think broken is a bit much. League position is a reality, and we are 2-0 down in this game. We have to work against that. I don't think anything tomorrow would be better than winning the Champions League, in my opinion, because we had many moments in the run, difficulties against Barcelona and Napoli. But because of the moment we are in, we have to fight every hard to get through. So winning would be special." Lampard also discussed rallying cry, Stamford Bridge support. Okay. So this is just talking about the Champions League stuff. Here we go. Boehly, welcome in dressing room. The Daily Telegraph claimed Boehly entered the Chelsea dressing room after the Blues' 2-1 home loss to Brighton at the weekend, which left the club in 11th place in the Premier League and without a win in 6. The report added that Boehly describes Chelsea's current form as embarrassing, as he singled out one senior player signed in the summer for not performing well enough. Speaking before Lampard's press conference, Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga claimed Boehly comes into the changing room after every game. Something which the caretaker boss is happy with. Yes, man. Yeah, he's a yes man. Speaking on the eve of Chelsea's Champions League quarterfinal, second leg, Real Madrid with the Blues trailing 2-0. Lampard said that Boehly's post-game behavior, I am comfortable with that. For me, there was some criticism of our old owner about not coming and being around, and that wasn't always true, to be fair. When an owner is very invested in the team and wants to help and improve, it's prerogative to have the input that they want. I remember as a player the moments when owners came into the dressing rooms. It happened first here at Chelsea, and it never really happened here before. I remember being happy that you could touch them and high five them. You could listen to them and feel them. I don't think that's a bad thing in terms of the identity of the club and where you want to get to. I have no problems with it. I have my things I want to say after the game. If an owner wants to be positive and wants to speak to the players, then it's his part to do that. As Kepa said, it is very regular in the modern day. In fact, it shows passion. That's what I like. Okay. Well,
right. I
apparently
want to know.
it shows passion.
Go on. You
Continue.
Come on, yeah.
No, go ahead, Chris. I'll continue.
I want to know. Like, why do we have like an owner coming into our change room every time? Like, you don't see it with any club. You never saw of like Roman. He'll never enter the change room. There's no reason why Todd Boehly has to enter. I can just imagine.
He did. Roman did.
Not what every game.
No, not every game, but he was.
It's like rare. It was rare. I know he has entered it.
Like, there seems to be this notion on social media where the owner can never enter the dressing room, and that's just bogus because Roman did it. Roman did it whenever we were on a bad run. This is one of the Mikel interview things. He said that Roman would go in there and scream in Russian to start winning again whenever we were on a bad run. So that idea that you can never do it is just rubbish.
I just imagine him like talking to like the players, like say for example we're talking about linked to Amazon like stuff, and you can hear Todd Boehly talking to the players. I spent 600 million on you guys. I play FIFA career mode, and you guys cook. And now we're playing 11th in real life. What's happened? Come on, guys.
If we're going to be doing an Amazon documentary, that cannot continue. I don't want that.
I don't want to see Todd Boehly there.
Todd Boehly on his PlayStation 5 just playing career mode. Oh my god. You want to elaborate what rubbish we're chatting about, Mount? I would love to hear what you're talking about, and I can.
He isn't a valuable player. Sorry, he isn't valuable.
Maybe I can dispute it. Maybe I can convince you. I can give you facts, my friend. But go ahead and you can let me know. But let me continue reading this. Agent Darker. This has been a accurate. I don't know how reliable it is, but it's been accurate. Darko. He's been pretty spot on with recent tweets. So we're gonna go ahead and read this. Not reliable, but he's been accurate lately.
He gets a lot of stuff right. Trust me. Before the big journalists,
trust me, source. Yes.
Yeah. So according to him, Todd put Sterling on the barbecue on Saturday in the dressing room. His performances have been disgraceful, but do you all remember when I told you a lot he was unhappy at the club, which was rumors that happened earlier in the season? This is it right here.
In this quote.
Yeah, this quote. Yeah, Raheem Sterling is not convinced about Potter's methods. This was back in February. I can't see it either. It's gonna be either Koulibaly or Sterling. Koulibaly played that game, I'm pretty sure.
He was injured. He was injured after
so it had to be Sterling.
They were talking about they were talking about it's a big money signing. Okay, it was maybe within the last 12 months. So in terms of the players that were in the squad, that can only be Sterling or Cucurella, and Cucurella didn't even play that game, so it wouldn't have made any sense for it to be him.
Yeah, that didn't leave it much to figure out. So real quick, let me just read this quick and then I'll let you speak. Todd Boehly entered the dressing room after Brighton and described the situation as embarrassing. He left no doubts that him, Ighbali, and Weiss had spent £600 million to win, and that players were falling short of expectations. This is coming from Matt Law. So if it's coming from Matt Law, I'm going to say that this is probably true. Pretty accurate, which is so unfortunate because it's so unfortunate because look, I haven't really said anything about this situation. I feel like as the owner who is spending money on this, you have the right to get upset about this, obviously. And you have the right to step into the dressing room. I feel like I would be shocked if, we know it's not true, but I would have been so shocked to have never heard of Roman stepping into the dressing room, right? I feel like just having that presence adds such an extra layer of pressure. But that's the issue as well. Having that presence in the locker room adds an extra layer of pressure. And having it every day after every game is, I think that's absurd. I think you have to let your players cook. You have to let your players play, and you have to let the
your
managers
manager
do their
manage.
job. Yeah, exactly. That's what was it? Arsene Wenger just said recent comments that in his clause, it was only him in the locker room. He would not let the owners walk into the locker room because that's where he would do his job.
Yeah, they couldn't go into the locker room, and also they couldn't sign anyone without his seal of approval.
Yeah, which that's a whole nother, bag of worms that we'll see what happens. But that alone with the no owners in the dressing room and such, it just stinks. Like, listen, I want to believe that this is all hyperbolic and it's not nearly as bad as it is, because at the end of the day, I want these owners to work out. We know these owners are willing to spend money on the club, which is fantastic. We just need them to be more competent. We need to do everything else right. So we want them to do things right. It doesn't give me any pleasure to admit that this could be true, that they walk into the dressing room and they have their say to the players like listen, Boehly, you don't know what you're really talking about when it comes to football. Sorry, man. This is a new sport for you.
You see, the thing is, or
whoever, yeah.
I was going to say before, you know what's embarrassing though? Like, they can say all these players are embarrassing, but like, they're the ones who's embarrassed the club too themselves. They have to look themselves in the mirror, because you literally had Tuchel. Apparently they wanted to sack Tuchel before the season, but if they didn't, they didn't. But then they overreacted by sacking Tuchel, just losing a few games when we was literally 5th and behind like top place by 5 points. To then go into Potter, who isn't as experienced as a top coach or nothing like that. So you're going in with Potter. Obviously, it was failing for a good while with Potter. Then you sack him too late. With his intern, with his assistant, I think, wasn't it? Bruno, his assistant. And he didn't want to stay. So you bring in Frank Lampard, and you some reason interview Enrique, where you didn't really want Enrique, by the sounds of it as well. Like, so Todd Boehly, he's been embarrassing as well this season. This is a massive failure because of Todd Boehly as well, with his management of like hiring, sacking managers. This is just like Roman on steroids, but in the wrong way. Like, I would never see Roman have 4 managers in one season. It's just crazy. So Todd Boehly is the one who's responsible as well for this disaster.
And this is where I kind of agree with what Didier Drogba said. I don't recognise this club. I mean, we can't even like say what our identity is, because on the one hand we're saying that we're gonna be a long-term project, and we're gonna judge the manager based on years and years, not months and days and stuff. And we're buying all these young players and whatnot. And now all of a sudden, we threw that out the window, and it's like, oh, we're going to get an experienced manager now. And I spent 600 million to win. I just don't know what is the intention here. We need these guys to have a plan and stick to it, because it feels like they're just flip flopping on a whim, and it must be confusing to be within the club and see it. It's confusing. It's confusing as fans. It's going to be confusing to potential incoming players. I think they really need to get a grip on that and start figuring out what they actually want to be and stick to it.
Yeah, this comment right here. This guy did not even know that he would, when he was first buying the club, that teams get relegated over here. For a guy who knows fuck all about his sport, he gets too involved. I agree. I think he does get too involved for someone who's learning.
Speculation, by the way.
That first part is speculation. I don't. Again, it would be un-Chelsea fan-like of me to really believe that these owners are incompetent, that they came here not knowing that the teams could get relegated, that they came here not knowing that you have to qualify for Champions League. The reason I say it would be un-Chelsea fan of me, because you have to believe that these owners know what they're doing. If you really want to believe that these owners are incompetent, that's basically, and I'm trying to figure out how to explain this and not make it too nuanced, because it is a little complicated. You have to, like I said before, I want these owners to be the best possible owners they can be, because it's at the end of the day, if they are the best owners they could possibly be, and I do have my doubts that they're incompetent and that they do know what they're doing, but they've made mistakes, then that's what's best for the club. the club is going to flourish from that. If I'm sitting here saying like, oh yeah, the owners they don't know, they didn't even know we could qualify for Champions League, that had to be done. They didn't even know we couldn't get relegated and all that stuff. I'm just feeding into that idea that these owners don't know what they're doing. I have no faith in them. And that it's basically, you're feeding into this idea that it's true, that it's all incompetent. It's a little bit of a complicated situation to explain, and I'm probably butchering this completely. But at the end of the day, I'm sure these owners who own 2 clubs were informed by someone, any informant that actually knows about football, that like this is how it works. This is and again, they've been a fan, I should say, of Chelsea for over 5 years, I want to say, give or take.
Not
wanting
fans. They've been looking at it as a potential opportunity to buy.
Yeah.
Because Chelsea, a huge club, and what
there's been interest, I'd say.
I was gonna say what Trevor said is like right as well. Chelsea, as Chelsea fans, I'm used to buying a lot of experienced players too as well. Like, you know, the experienced players means you're gonna probably win Premier League a lot more. With the young players, you don't know what you get, and you could build a really good team for the future. Yeah, it's a risk on that way. But yeah, like I think we haven't had a balance where we should have bought, I think, a few more experienced players over young. We bought a lot of young players, like basically relying they'd be really good. So yeah, like Todd Boehly has really gone ham with buying a lot of young players like Mudryk, Madueke, Fafana. Who else can I think of right now? There's so many, Enzo as well, but I think Enzo's a baller as well. But Badiashile has turned out to be really good. Like there is some good players I can say.
He's only 21 though.
Yeah, there's some good players right now as I can speak, where we signed as good. But like you said, we could have got maybe like gone for Casemiro for 60, 70 million, or could have helped us out instead of trying to buy Casado for like 70 million. But he's done good. He's done a few good things, like signing a lot of backroom stuff. And hopefully now Todd Boehly just listens to the board. He listens to the football experts because they're football experts. And if they fail, guess what you do? You get to fire them. You get to get new ones in charge after that.
Gotta Frogs, love you to death, but can you name me 5 left backs that are better than Chilwell? Go ahead. We'll wait.
Wait, in the
we
world?
won't wait.
In the world of the Premier League.
In the Premier League. In the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Okay.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Yes. I'll read that comment when it comes up. But so basically what I was trying to allude to before is that if you want Chelsea to do well, then you essentially want to believe that these managers are doing what they can, hiring the right people, and doing the best they can. Obviously they're going to make mistakes, and there's going to be teething problems, like Jafar said before. But if you want to believe that, they don't know what they're doing, they don't even know what relegation is, they don't know what qualifying Champions League is, if you want to feed into that narrative, if you really want to believe that narrative, then in a sense, you're kind of hoping for the downfall of Chelsea, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's fine. You just can't bury your head in the sand when all
obviously
signs are pointing towards something. No.
Yeah. Just for the PL, easy. All right, go ahead, God of Frogs.
I want to say...
We'll wait, man. We'll wait.
What kind of psychopaths are saying they don't want Todd Boehly to basically be successful? Why wouldn't you want him to be successful? That's your club you're talking about. If he's not successful...
there are some. There are definitely some.
You're choosing suffering like Scott, man. You're choosing a lot of suffering. That's crazy.
You got to remember, man.
Wait,
God of Frogs, Digne?
Digne doesn't even play for Aston Villa. Oh my god.
Digne got a Frogs, really?
Zinchenko, this season he's probably
Zinchenko, like other than Digne, you could argue these other ones. Like I don't know about Ake. Ake is a better center back.
Robertson's been terrible this season.
Yeah,
prior seasons. Like, but but Oliver, let me ask you this: like prior, okay, let's say if
prime, I'm taking prime Robertson. Okay, of course.
Yeah, like if you had to choose between Chilwell and the time of signing Chilwell or Robertson, you probably would have taken Robertson.
Tierney is too. He's more injury prone than Chilwell. So
I don't know about Shaw either.
No.
Shaw either.
No, Marshall this season he's been better than Chilwell. There's no doubt in that. Like Luke Shaw this season has been incredible. He actually has. So,
by the way, he's also in a United team that have competent coaching. You know.
Fair enough. All right, you know what, God of Frogs? Fair enough. Fair enough.
Some of them's
But-
debatable. I would debate, but yeah, there's a few who's better. Not
Digne,
five, though, for
man.
me.
My word.
This man said Digne. It's funny.
Digne is a crazy one. Tierney is also debatable because he is a good left back, but just doesn't play well in this system that Arteta has currently. And Ake,
He does play well. Tierney does
he doesn't
play
really
well.
fit, is what I meant. Yeah,
he's
not a
injury
good fit.
prone though. He's injury prone. That's why he's a backup.
Fair enough. And Ake, I don't know. Ake's up in the air. I do like Ake, but as a left back,
He's more of a
I
centre
don't
back.
know.
But he can play
I think
left
he's a
back
better
pretty
center
well.
back.
He's been
Yeah.
fantastic this season.
I
He's
would
also been
say
fantastic this season.
defensively he's better than Chilwell, but attacking Chilwell is better attacking.
They don't really attack with their fullbacks though. Man City.
Well, not
They-
really,
they-
but Cancelo did.
They use wingers
Right.
and attacking midfielders more really.
Okay, so before we get into this big, meaty section
Wait,
of
is
our
Marshall
stream.
lagging out?
Oh, shit. Hold on.
Yeah, I can hear it's like cutting out or something. Just to let you
There you
know.
go. I fixed it.
You're
Yeah,
good. You're good.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the big, meaty meats and potatoes of the stream, make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already done so. Smash that like button if you also haven't already done so. And yeah, do all the other stuff that you usually do, which is just sit back, relax, and watch the show. All right, let's get this show on the road. Let's get it back on the road, rather. Oh,
Wait,
look
there's
who's here.
another guy. Andrew, you're early.
Right.
Sorry.
All right. So
It's
let's,
right. He's
let's
already
get-
done his devil advocate stuff, by the way.
Yeah. I
Did
get
it
that
about
out
you.
of the way.
Guys, you done it, guys. You got to call him on the stuff, man. Really.
Hey,
I
I'd rather
I got
let
it
him
out of the
like,
way.
burn. I'd rather let him burn. I'd like to see him burn.
I cook.
We got
I
we got
cook.
a Fox. When he does Devil's Advocate, we got to put him to the Fox News side. You know what I mean? Just like stuff like that. You know?
All right, let's go ahead and talk about musical managers, the manager shuffle going on here at Chelsea Football Club. Let's go ahead and pop this up. So there's been a lot going on with manager stuff. So let's go ahead and I guess clarify, get some opinions out of certain things. So first things first with Frank Lampard. Training sessions to work on tactics have been in short supply since Frank Lampard's return. Instead, he has spent hours talking to players on an individual basis, getting to know them, trying to lift them. This is coming from Simon Johnson Sport and The Athletic. Okay, let's just continue on. Again, another quote here from Frank Lampard. Training was all pretty walkthrough and low level because of the tiredness in the legs, implying that these players have not been fit. We'll discuss that. And then another Frank Lampard tweet here. Frank Lampard is expected to be replaced in the dugout by a permanent head coach. More signings will arrive. Players are sure to go the other way, and a number of contract situations must be resolved. And this is coming from Dave Ornstein, the Ornstein Dagger for Frank Lampard again. Which is just a little bit of good news there that Lampard is not staying for those of you who thought that there was a possibility that he could. So before we go on to the other managers discussing fitness and Lampard, yeah, that's pretty shambolic. I don't know whether to blame Graham Potter or the individual players for not, taking this seriously enough. I don't know. I mean, Andrew, since you just got here, I mean, what are your thoughts overall on that aspect of what's been going on behind the scenes with Chelsea and Lampard kind of walking into this?
So the fitness thing's the usual trope when a new person comes in. Oh, these players
Okay.
weren't fit before. That's one of the excuses. I don't
I think it's
really
just
think,
okay.
I think that's just rubbish. The fact about when they said that not a lot of time for tactics. Yeah, I you could tell. Was that a lot of time? Maybe apart from yesterday, there's been not a lot of time spent on tactics. But listen, I don't know what more we can say about this guy right here. You know what I mean? The best Chelsea player ever, and a manager though. It's just, I mean,
It's poetic, isn't it?
well, I just think it's like literally a mirror universe, isn't it? Really, you know what I mean? it's one of those things. It's
Yes.
you know, we bought into maybe, like I say, change a few things or do some more things, but you can tell, man, some of the players during some of these games don't actually know what the instructions are.
Yeah.
In terms of what like maybe yesterday was the only time really for a brief period that people knew their jobs, but they just couldn't execute it properly, and then it all went to shit in the second half, essentially. So it's one of those things. So yeah, I mean, what do you think, Oliver, about this?
I mean, you say it's a trope to say about the injuries or the fitness. I can kind of see it being an aspect. I mean, Potter with giving the 3 days off after a loss and whatever, that surely can't do your athletic fitness any good. You know, you need to be training in order to be fit and ready. And the fact that we, at the end of the day, you know, we sacked our whole physio team and replaced them with a celebrity medical firm, and the injuries just haven't gotten any better this season. There are still people that are probably playing with niggles. You look at Reece James yesterday. Apparently, he had to have some help in order to continue playing in that. He even had to be moved into midfield. So I can sort of see it half and half. You know, I take your point, and I also take a bit of, you know, could have been Potter, could have been this and that.
Chris, what do you think?
I basically zoned out pretty much for the first thing he showed, but with the tiredness, like I did see that. Obviously, I've heard it as well before. I do understand the tiredness. Maybe they're mentally drained as well, Andrew, because I think I would be mentally drained with like 4 managers and sitting at 11th and all this. I'm not gonna give the players that much of an excuse because they've been all shit. They have been shit. So is the managers we've had, and it's that other And Lampard's tactics is probably lucky his tactics ain't settled in. I don't want his tactics to settle in at all this season because I want to move to the next manager. He hasn't really got great tactics. His tactics is probably just obviously like run up the wing and cross to Kante or something. That's already happened actually, but the tiredness does kind of make sense because But then again, I think about it. We got knocked out of the FA Cup really early.
Yeah,
We got knocked out of the Carabao Cup early. I have just thought about it. Only thing I can think of, mentally drained. Like that's the only thing I can think of.
But he specifically mentioned tiredness in the legs.
Yeah, but
that doesn't make. Yeah, I agree. It's like I remember also. It's like how many breaks we had in the season, like the Queen passing away.
Yeah,
getting
knocked out the cup competition. I mean, remember before that Fulham game near the end of the transfer window and
the 2 weeks,
the 2 Fulham games, it was nearly 2 weeks apart, and it's like even we've missed out due to FA Cup things, we missed out with like 2 weeks and stuff like that. I mean, look at the upcoming schedule. We're literally playing next Wednesday and then next Tuesday, right? We're not playing any weekend football for 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Can I also say something to that afterwards? With Man United as well, I compare it to Man United. They've been in every competition, especially as well Europa League. It's less a tournament, but
and they hardly rotate.
And they haven't actually got a depth like Chelsea. Chelsea do actually have a depth.
Yeah.
It's actually a weak excuse. Yeah, it's a weak excuse.
Yeah, it's a weak. It's like give the
fuck them players, man.
The guys they get off with something. It's like oh yeah, you played a lot of football, bro. We played 63 games last season.
Yeah,
63, and none of the tiredness was ever used at all. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was sanctions or something like that, but we kept going. But this lot, what, 38, 40?
I mean,
46 games, something like that. So
I'm more inclined to believe that it is an excuse, right? Because that's just what Lampard does. But I think there is a little bit of validity to it. One, because I recall someone pointing out that it looked like Raheem Sterling was like out of breath during training at some point. Like there was a little bit of lack of fitness there. And also, like, I don't know if you guys probably remember the amount of days that we took off under Graham Potter, how laxed he seems as well as a manager when he was managing. Sorry if I'm repeating anything while I went to the bathroom, but
no, that's fine.
I think there is some players that maybe didn't work nearly as hard as they should have because they were under Graham Potter.
Maybe with the bloated squad, there wasn't enough people to train them.
That's possibility too. Yeah, that's
it's like, oh damn, we forgot to train.
guys.
these
Train
six
yourselves.
players. Oh crap! Yeah, like, yeah.
Free
Go
session,
on the
man.
treadmill. Go on the treadmill for half an hour or something like. We'll be back. To rotate and something like that. Yeah,
You guys
next
can't do
Yeah.
you remaining. What is it? How many players is it in the squad?
I don't know, but I
total?
think it's like
Over 30.
But it's at the gym, is it, Marshall? You have to book like a lesson. They probably have to do that at Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Book a training session or something.
There's
like
10
that.
of you. There's like 8 of you that can't play in
Yeah.
this game right now. So
You're fully
you go
booked.
on a
You're
treadmill
fully-
or something.
And the 12 o'clock class is booked out because you come back at 2.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, God of Frogs. I think they're both shit. I don't think Gerrard is better than Lampard. I think Gerrard also
ask
proved
Aston
how
Villa fans about
incompetent he
Gerrard.
was.
You ask
Yeah.
Aston Villa fans. I know a couple, and they fucking
Just
hate it.
look at the turnaround. Just look at the turnaround of Emery.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Gerrard nearly got Aston Villa relegated, just like Lampard.
And
nearly got
I'm not.
Everton
I'm not.
relegated.
By the way, I'm
Oh,
not
shit.
hearing I'm not hearing an invincible season in a 2-team league. By the way, so I'm not having this Gerrard Scottish Premier League with Rangers. Dead.
Yeah.
Literally, as you said that. That's so
Oh,
funny.
shut up, bro.
Yeah.
Look what Lampard
he's
did
Scottish
for
though, so
Derby,
he
almost
follows,
getting promoted to the Premier League, almost.
But let's continue on with the rest of the managerial stuff. So, here we got So Matt Law with the latest on the Chelsea stuff. Exclusive: Enrique not placed among leading candidates. Post boost to THFC chances. What
Post.
the
I
hell
think
is-
post.
Okay, post boost to Chelsea cut down list
No, that's Tottenham,
ahead.
by the way. That's Tottenham. It says there.
Oh, gotcha. Tottenham. Yeah, this is how much I don't care about Tottenham. I don't even know their freaking acronym. Chelsea cut down list ahead of new talks. Nagalsmann and Poch contacted, and Champions League elimination means wage reductions for some. Which, hey, listen, you signed the contract and you knew what was in that contract, so I don't feel bad. These players get paid enough.
The reports were that it was. It seems like it's all of the Boehly contracts that are.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I figured it would be. Yeah.
So the Roman contracts, Kepa, Ziyech, Pulisic, etc., etc. They're all fixed wages.
I wonder though, what will happen to the Kante one? Do you know? What I
Is
mean?
he getting a new contract?
No.
Or is he an
I
extension?
mean, if he signs a new contract, right? Whether it's extension or not, no, it'll be a new one, right? So,
It has to be a new one, yeah.
Yeah, well, it'll be new, whatever it is, whether extension or new. But what I mean is, will that go in line with the new policy now? Because he was at
Depends
2-0.
how. I think it depends how long we want to keep him. If it's literally just for next season, then there's no need to include it.
I heard
Because we've got
rumors
Ziyech.
that his contract is actually based on his availability.
Pay and play.
Wow. He
Yeah,
must
pay
be
and
having-
play.
he
No,
must be
that's
on
not.
a- he
That's
must
what
be
they
on a
want to
second job.
offer him. This is what they want to offer him: a pay and play. Reportedly, he's on a fixed salary with
Which-
his contract from
yeah.
Roman.
It's
That
not
seems
realistic,
pretty
though.
hard. I'm
It's
not
not
gonna lie, but
realistic,
it's
too.
also, is it not? I don't know. Like,
When do you see
it
that?
seems fair, but it's also harsh. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
okay.
It's like,
I'm
He's
not
got that
saying it's
sec-
fair now. Go on.
Marshall, he's got that second job. It's fine. So,
Yeah. Sponsors. Adverts
yeah, he's
and,
assistant
Smile.
physio
Just smile
because
for
he's
the camera,
so
man.
familiar with
Smile,
recovering.
man.
But-
That $1 million smile, man, gets him free meals at David Luiz's restaurant, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, never paid. man.
Louise's
Just
restaurant.
smile.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
Yeah. You know?
All right, continuing on with the news that I have here is there's actually more with this. Chelsea are conducting multiple rounds of discussions, interviews before confirming each selection. Confirming a selection which will go to Boehly and Iqbali for ratification. Internally, the race is viewed as wide open with a favorite yet to emerge with the contenders, but decision is likely coming in weeks. This is coming from David Ornstein only 2 days ago. The process is now at the middle stage, and what initially began as a shortlist comprising 5 to 10 candidates has whittled down to just a handful of options heading into the closing stages. Earlier in the week, we have, and again, take this with a grain of salt, Ben Jacobs. Chelsea would love to have a manager in place by May or mid-May, but they won't strike an agreement if the manager they want feels there could be a vacancy at Real Madrid or PSG. I feel like that's a direct shot at Nagalsmann right there.
Yeah.
The latest update on Chelsea managers is that Julian Nagelsmann, this is last week, and are still considered favorites. Conversations with both who continue. All right, well, that's no longer relevant. So that's actually old news. Julian Nagelsmann impressed during talks, but Chelsea have also contacted Pochettino. This was reported by Matt Law yesterday, in fact. So yeah, I think that's all I have in reference to the manager talks and the recent updates.
Yeah.
Actually, there's probably more, to be honest. Hold on. So
So-
Pochettino has spoken with Chelsea. Vivell and Lawrence Stewart are understood to believe Nagelsmann would suit Chelsea well. Stewart himself and Paul Winstanley are completing a through process before handling a final recommendation to Todd Boehly and Baghdad Bali. This is coming from Todd Roddy.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say?
I think it's very, as always, I think this fan base, parts of this fan base are very strange. On one hand, they will go, so we bring the infrastructure in, want the guys who know football, giving their suggestions, we want them, the owners to listen to them. And then the day later, pick Enrique. But it's like everything, if the directors are saying, Nagalsmann, and that's what I believe. That's why we haven't picked up Enrique. Because remember, Enrique's free, guys. He's free. He's not going to cost anything in terms of getting him out of a contract. He is free, right? So Chelsea fans, you can't have it both ways. You can't, on one hand, go, well, we know what we want them to buy infrastructure in, want them to listen to the guys who they recommend, and then get that person because they don't know what they're doing essentially, or don't have experience. And then the next they go, why haven't we got Enrique? Well. Read the room, guys. If Enrique was available, if they wanted Enrique, they could sign Enrique anytime they wanted in the past 2 weeks since Potter's been sacked, right? They could have had him installed and ready to go because he's available, right? It's clear to me that they want Nagelsmann. The issue with Nagelsmann is obviously his Bayern Munich contract and buying him out of that. Now, whether there's a clause in there past a certain date that nullifies or lowers the money to get him out, that may be it. But read the room, guys. We want the owners to listen to who they hire for the technical directors, stuff like that, the football people. So if they are saying Nagelsmann, they think Nagelsmann's best for this and are pushing Nagelsmann, then you should want the owners to listen to them, right? It's just straightforward logic. But it's football, so obviously feelings and emotions get involved. So, it's all good. But I'm surprised that... am I surprised that Poch is being brought up? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if it starts ramping up with Poch going forward. So, it's Scott.
Hello. I didn't realize you guys were still live.
Yes. We're going to be live for another hour.
Can I just address this as well?
I know
every football manager is a yes man. Okay, has been a yes man. Okay, they've been a yes man. Okay, even Jose Mourinho at Chelsea was a yes man. Okay, in his first stint, he accepted Andrei Shevchenko into this team, even though he didn't want him. Did he say no and leave the club? No, he accepted him and carried on for the season. Every football manager is a yes man. In 2009, when Manchester United sold Ronaldo, do we honestly think he was happy with the recruitment of Michael Owen, a dead Michael Owen essentially, Gabriel Obertan, and the winger from Wigan as a replacement for Ronaldo? Are we saying that everyone likes Klopp?
Oh, yeah.
So Klopp's a yes man, obviously, right? Because
he's
come out this week and back the owners. It is true, Kai. I've just laid it out.
I would.
It is true. So I would just say, guys, is he yes? Yes. This whole yes man thing is such a.
I was going to say, even if say Nagelsmann is a yes man, what is the problem with that? That means he's agreeable with the owners. Like it means that he's not going to butt head with the owners. Like that. That's one of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have with certain managers. Like Conte, for example, one of his biggest issues is how abrasive he is with owners. Like he destroys clubs because he wants what he wants, and if he doesn't get hit, he's willing to fuck clubs up because of it.
Marshall, can you? Sorry, I'm going to bring up Marshall. Sorry, I do apologise. You obviously don't know Chelsea then if you're saying that. Jose did not allow Roman to get involved. I've just said he bought Shevchenko. He bought Shevchenko in against the wishes of his manager. He didn't sign Shevchenko for Jose Mourinho. He signed him for himself. He signed Fernando Torres. Ancelotti didn't want Fernando Torres. He signed Fernando Torres.
Do you know? I was happy at the time.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't want it.
My young ass was happy, man.
Ancelotti found out on Sky Sports. You know that. He found out on Sky Sports, not even from the club.
He found out.
Yeah.
You know what's, by the way, like we don't even have to go back that far. Tuchel was a yes man by this same comparison because he literally accepted Lukaku. He accepted Lukaku coming to this football club.
Yeah.
You know what I was gonna say? I think certain managers are more like I don't know how you describe it, more yes man feel or whatever. Like they accept some things, but then again, I think Conte will literally he will literally shit on his players. He will literally shit on the club if he don't get what he wants, because he does actually he does accept them. Yeah, you're right. He accepted Drinkwater. He accepted all those type of players, but he also shits on like players like that in the club. So I don't know if he's like a complete yes man, but I think in a way, yes, everyone is a yes man. They will accept. They can't refuse it, can they? They have to accept it.
Well, exactly. I mean, like I say, I mean, like Conte may be one of the ones who isn't. Maybe now he's not a yes man, but early stages he would have been a yes man. Like at Juventus, he was a yes man, right? He only left there because he took the Italian job. But even if he isn't, like I said,
yeah, even as I said, like say he isn't. I don't want a Conte type manager at this club.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And
even you go back to Klopp, by the way. Again, we can say he's a yes man, but so many of the decisions and so many of the reasons that squad is where it is because of him.
Yeah,
because he's making the decisions on that squad. Like he could demand, like he's the type of guy who could demand they sign a midfielder, and they probably would. Like, and he has said consistently they don't need a midfielder. Until it got to the point where they had no midfielders left. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't want someone that's going to be, I want this and nothing else, because that just creates problems. Because what if we give you someone else that works, but it's not the exact player you want?
So are we then saying, though, that are then people then saying if the manager insists on everything, even if it's wrong? Like, because remember, Klopp wanted... before they signed Salah and someone else, he wanted Julian Brandt.
Didn't he want Pulisic as well?
Götze as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard Pulisic and mention that. I'm pretty sure, but
I agree. Can I just say?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's pretty harsh. I'm going to say, but let's face it, right? Enrique's aura, or whatever it is heavily boosted by MSN. Yeah, it's heavily boosted. Let's just say, right? I remember he's spent 5 years out of club management. That's huge. Dealt with international payment, but also the health of his daughter. So, but before that, he's actually spent less time in club management than Nagalsmann. Yeah, overall. Yeah, he spent less time. And listen, he's done a fabulous job at Barcelona, no doubt about it, for the first season and a bit. Maybe the second season. But we have to remember, if without Barcelona on his CV, he wouldn't even be talked about for clubs at this point.
True.
I mean, he wouldn't even be any like I said, he wouldn't even be on the Tottenham list. Like I just saw about a few hours ago that he's like second favourite or something. But that's the thing. But this whole yes man thing, this stuff is like so. Get over it, man. Seriously, get over it.
For me, what I think that is, I think people are just using the wrong terminology.
I
think that they're trying to describe someone that's just going to be kind of accepting of a mediocre to poor situation and not try and raise the ceiling or raise the floor. I look at Potter, he was accepting of the situation and, he clearly didn't do enough to try and get out of that. So I think it's just a wrong use of verbiage.
Oliver, do you rate Ancelotti?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone does. One of the greatest coaches of all time. In 2009, in 2009, his first season, we only signed Yuri Zerkov in his first season.
Yeah.
Did I hear anything? I didn't remember him kicking up a fuss or anything like that.
Jesus Christ!
I don't remember him kicking up a fuss. So is he a yes man? Well, yeah. In this terminology right now, as people are saying, you deem him a yes man, right? At Real Madrid.
Well, like you said, every manager is a yes man.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Do you think at Real Madrid he really has any say on the transfers?
No.
No.
No,
He just gets on like any Real Madrid manager does. Every single Real Madrid manager in this terminology right now would be deemed a yes man, even Zidane, because they don't do the transfers. No, that's what I mean. It's so weird. In every other foreign club, the manager rarely doesn't have anything to do with the transfers. Like Pep had nothing to do with the transfers at Bayern. It was their board that bought them. So is he a yes man?
I think he has influence at Man City though. This time,
possibly, yeah, more than likely, absolutely, because of the situation they're in. Maybe if they were a more established club before he came in, maybe he wouldn't have that much say. But
Chris,
maybe,
with Pep, there's two things with that. Number one is he's arguably the best manager in the world, so he's afforded that. Like,
he's earned the right. He's earned the right to be.
He's earned the right to have a say in who he wants to see. Also, the reason why he can have a say is because the people he worked with are the same people he worked with at Barca. Because Man City built that team specifically in terms of the backroom staff, specifically for Pep Guardiola. They got the likes of Cheeky in before Pep got in. They got the scouts, the sporting director, everyone from Barca before Pep came in. That team was basically like, who was it? Pellegrini was a stopgap. Pellegrini was there as like a transitional manager.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, we've got someone who, like, there's a few, like a lot of them haven't worked with him, but there are two guys, specifically the technical director and one of the sporting directors, who have worked with Nagalsmann. Therefore, he may get a say in who he wants with the transfers because, again, they would have worked with him, so they will know what he's like or understand what type of players he wants.
Let me just say this, right? I back these owners because I want them to do well. Do I back some of their decisions or most of their decisions? No, I think their timing.
You're a Chelsea fan, you want these owners to do well.
Exactly. I think the timing, and also, can I just repeat again? When they took over this club, one of the conditions was that they can't sell it for 10 years. Okay, it would cost them. I wouldn't even like to think how much it would cost them to actually renege on that and take out. But literally, guys, they can't do anything for 10 years. They can't take funds out like the Glazers did for 10 years. Okay, so let's just get this over. I back these owners because I want them to do well. However, have some of the decisions not worked out? Obviously, and their timing this season has been rubbish, absolutely rubbish. The timing of their decisions. If you're a Chelsea fan, it's like the players and the manager. You can criticize, but you should always want them to do well.
Yeah.
Right. You should always want them to do well. You know, criticize absolutely, and no one can tell you how you're supposed to support your club. Like we were told this week, with the Real Madrid game, like Scott and I were told, if you can't support them, if you can't support the club in a bad time, you can't support them in a good time. Does that go for the players as well that people criticise? If you can't support them in the bad times, you can't support them in the good time, stuff like that. Just be open to stuff. That's all. Do you know what I mean?
To add on to that too, let me remind most of the Chelsea fan base right now that we wanted managers that spent money. These guys are spending money.
Yes.
In the right places, you could argue probably not. They've been making mistakes. But I can only hope that these mistakes are rectified. They will not be done again. They're learning from them, and that they're hiring the right people to guide them and make sure that they don't do it again. And so that we have basically, in my opinion, a better version of the previous manager who, towards the end of his tenure, wasn't spending as much money anymore and was arguably being too ruthless. So we'll see. But go ahead.
Sorry, Patrick Bateman. I don't know, professional trial or something like that. So you're going to be open to those Yanks destroying the eliteness. Why don't you just say the owners? I don't know why you first had to bring in the Yanks versus stuff like that. Plus, it's a consortium, so it's a consortium. So I think some of them aren't actually Yanks. The eliteness of our club. Listen.
One season.
Listen, it's not been a good start, right? Overall, it's not been a good start, majority-wise. But I think you have to give them the opportunity to rectify this, right? You have, because there's some. Let's not be faced. Roman Abramovich, overall, brilliant owner, brilliant time there. But we should have won more under him. Yeah, we should have won more under him. I always claim that the 06-07 season, he cost us the three-peat by what he did in the transfer window and not backing Jose enough and stuff like that. But you should want them to do well. They're American. They're not all American, are they? But the thing is, why does it matter? Why do you put Yanks in? Just put owners. Why do you have to put the actual thing in there?
I don't get this idea though that like the owners are destroying the eliteness because like what do you mean? Because if you
when
mean
were we last
like
in a title race, Scott? When
I
were we
was
last
going to say like
if you mean like the standards of this football club, they've died since the moment Lampard became manager, which was on the previous ownership. That you can argue is when our standards as a football club died, because that's also when the last world-class player you can argue, or apart from Silva, that's when the last like elite level player we had before Silva left.
Like, got a transfer business as well.
Can I say
even if you want to go before that, if you as Andrew said, if you want to go until we were a title challenging club, that was Conte. That's when we last challenged, and again that came down to Conte being a dickhead, and as well the piss poor recruitment again from the old regime. So I don't get this idea that the owners for all of the things they've like fucked up with, right? And they have made mistakes. I don't get this idea that they're killing the standards or they're killing the eliteness of the club, because what standards? Like, you can, we got to 6 finals. I put so much of that on Tuchel as a manager, because guess what? When it came to some of these finals, these players let themselves down, let the club down. We all remember that Liverpool final where Mount missed about 3 chances, Pulisic missed, and that's just one final. And also,
hang on. I remember 4 finals. I don't remember 6. Okay, so we account in the.
So you've got the Club World Cup,
Club World Cup,
Club World Cup.
Where look at the teams who are facing the Club World Cup. We should get to the final and win that. Okay, the Super Cup, you're automatically in it when you win the European Cup. So it's not like getting it like we have to play 4 or 5 games to get there. So I mean that's just an added bonus to the actual thing. Yeah. The League Cup and the FA Cup, yes. But do you know what? I'm not going to boast about getting to finals. League. I don't want to boast about getting to finals. If you lose, what's the point?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what I mean? I don't boast that. That's an Arsenal or Spurs mentality where Spurs print off.
Andrew, it's not even an Arsenal mentality. Like, Arteta won the FA Cup and half of their fan base wanted him out within 2 years.
I was gonna say as well before like it all moves along, Scott, with obviously Roman hiring Lampard. I don't think they had much of a choice when we had a massive a whole season transfer ban. No real like big manager probably would have gone to us. So obviously Lampard was like that stopgap, and then obviously we had to keep Lampard for getting top 4 because like I don't think the fan base would have been behind it sacking Lampard after getting top 4. But when it did get bad, because we got down to 9th place, before it got too late, we did sack him for elite manager, where we obviously hired Tuchel, and Tuchel was the right man to hire because he got us to a Champions League final and won it, and won other trophies, and yeah, he did get to the finals. Let's not brag about that really though, but
that's fair. Like, that's completely fair. But I would still argue that because of what Lampard brought in terms of the players we started bringing in terms of from the academy, and with what happened in terms of the fan base, I would argue that's where our standards began to slip and began to die. Because all of a sudden we started accepting mediocre because they quote unquote got the club.
Let me ask you a question, right? What team get praised for playing well when they lose 4-0 in their opening game of the season against Manchester United? Because that was the narrative in the press and some of the Chelsea. Oh, we hit the post, or we could have done this and this. And it's like, you're right. It was accepted into the fan base because it's Frank, it's stuff like that. He gets the club, all this crap.
We didn't expect much to
stuff like that. Because I mean, Conte was really good. Really, Conte knew the club before he joined over and won the Premier League and something like that. But it's just like, and what Kai's comment is there that listen, we found out Potter's not up to it. It's too big of a step. We are forgetting that before that he was one of the hottest things in English football, right? He was the deal. Nearly every set of support were going, you know what? If my manager got sacked, maybe I would take Potter, or something like that. It didn't work out. It was too big a step, and that's fine. And you're right. He let us down and let himself down. It was too big of a step. And you're right. The way he came across, and we all said it, was like Kai's put in there, like a pussy, but like a camp counselor, stuff like that. It was like my best friend. We're all going to win this together. All this bullshit and stuff like that. And I agree with Kai. You need a presence in there. We need someone who just doesn't, who knows the line between manager and player, in terms of, and also that the players respect and will listen to. And that's probably why they didn't do it under Potter, and they're not doing it under Frank, because some of those players were there when he was there last time, when he ripped them to shreds, like a Kepa, like a Havertz, stuff like that. And we all know the dressing room is far more together than they are. They'll throw the manager under the bus before they throw each other under the bus. We all know that. Yeah. So this one
with
sorry.
Go on.
Actually, no, you go ahead, Chris, because I've got
with the manager situation with me, I obviously didn't want Tuchel sacked. I really felt we should have gave Tuchel the season, but obviously he got sacked, so there wasn't a lot of managers. So I do agree, like with Potter, like maybe he could have done something, like he could be in a new idea and build, but there wasn't a lot of managers. So, but I would have never sacked Tuchel for the season. I felt like Tuchel deserved a season with Todd Boehly to see what he can do, but he got sacked, so can't really complain too much at that point.
I love these comments. I love these comments right here. How many of our young signings didn't pan out? Werner, Pulisic, Havertz, Kepa, all signed under the old regime.
Hey, Werner's better than
given plenty of time. No, hold on. Given plenty of time. Given plenty of time. But we want to criticize the ones that have only been here for 3 months under shit management.
Well, that's the whole thing, because we'll get the
it's the hypocrisy.
These guys won the Champions League. That'll probably be one of the tropes that they throw out, which is fine. Yeah, they won the Champions League. That's good. But what have they done for the last 2 years? Stuff like that.
Based on your analysis, Patrick. You rate these guys, right?
I love Kai to bits, but everyone was talking about Potter in the Premier League. Everyone was talking about Potter, so that's how good Brighton were playing. Although they might not finish, they might finish ninth and stuff like that. But it wasn't just Spurs fans. Liverpool fans were talking about it. I've heard Man United fans talking about it.
But can I say something?
Listen, Patrick. You have a clear agenda against Americans. It's very clear. As long as you keep your xenophobic a little tamed, I don't mind you being in this chat. But keep it tamed. If you let it blow out of control and you start saying some stupid shit, then I'm kicking you out, man.
Can I go on?
No, just on the point of like the transfers, it's a good one. Like, you talk about the amount of money this ownership has spent. Let's go and talk about the amount of money that the last ownership spent on shit players.
Yeah. I mean,
bro, I'm looking at the top 50.
Those players have had plenty of time to prove their shit.
Yeah.
These ones, they've only been here for 3 months, and they've had 3 different managers.
Let's just go. I'm looking at the top 50 most expensive transfers in Premier League history, right? Let's just go through them. Torres, flop. Pulisic, flop. Cucurella, fair enough, was bought by the ownership. Morata, flop. Let's keep going. Mudryk, Kepa, flop. Kai Havertz, flop. Fofana, too early to say. Lukaku, flop. Fernandes, too early to say. Most of those were bought by the old regime, and most of them were flop.
19 years on the Roman, Patrick.
There is not a single signing that we've made in the top 25 most expensive. Top 50 most expensive transfers. There's not a single player that we've signed under Abramovich that's gone on to be a success. Every single one of them have been a flop.
And also, you're right. We run it all under Roman. We should have won more. We were on 5 Premier Leagues, right? I think we should at least won minimum 3 more, at least, right? And also another Champions League. And also more cups. We should have won more. We should be, you know what, we've won more trophies than you. We should probably be very close, or even past them by now.
Imagine if we won, Patrick, based on your argument, imagine if we won everything this season, you still would have been like, Roman's still better, he won more. Like, how much more can you win in one season?
Speaking of facts,
look how many FA Cups finals we've lost. I mean, Wembley used to be our second home. We can't win at Wembley at the moment.
We haven't won a final there since 2018.
2018, we haven't won a domestic cup. And whatever you think about them, true. In the list of priorities, domestic cups are for me, are viewed as a bonus, right? Stuff like they don't save a season and make it better if you finish 5th and win the FA Cup. Just means you've won a cup. But we should be winning more. We haven't won a domestic cup since 2018. That's 5 years, right? We haven't won a league since 2017. We haven't been in a title race since 2017, and we won't be in for the next year and possibly 2 years because of where we are. We mock Arsenal and United for not winning leagues takes years. We're heading in that direction, bro. We are heading in that direction right there. The fact that City, who looked at us and went, took all the good things how we run, and made sure not to make mistakes that we've made. I've now they're going to win they're 5th in 6 years, they're 3rd in a row.
6th and 7th, I think.
Yeah, they're going, and they're they're 7th overall Premier League or something, 7th or 8th.
And there is a chance. Like I know what people say, there's a genuine chance. And I know it's said every year they could easily win the Champions League this year. Like Haaland might be the one. Like they may lose to City, to Madrid, because it is Madrid. Like it is Madrid in the Champions League, but I give him more of a chance this year than I did last year because of Haaland. And like.
Would you blame the owners on Haaland now?
Wait, hold on. I just got to keep in mind, Patrick. You've been watching too much Minerals. I know you love your Minerals. Listen, stop listening to too much of what he's saying. At the end of the day, we're trying to defend him. We're trying to support the owners because we want the owners to do well. When the owners do well, Chelsea does well, and when Chelsea does well, we're all happy. Listen, it's been one season, okay? It's not. It hasn't even been a season yet. Season hasn't finished.
I literally said earlier they've made many mistakes this season. I'm not defending them. This season has been a complete and utter failure from top to bottom. The only positive part, the literal only positive part about this season was the January transfer window, and even that they couldn't do perfectly because they didn't get rid of anyone. Even their best part of the season, they couldn't do perfect because they didn't get rid of everyone. And that's the best part of their season. It's been a complete failure, but writing them off after one season is stupid, especially considering we've seen the same mistakes they've made by Abramovich in different periods of his time, of course. But we saw the same stuff. We let it go. Like, we gave Abramovich and Marina at times as much rope for them to hang themselves with. We gave them that much.
And granted, thing you got to keep into mind, Patrick.
They had won a lot, but I need to see what these owners are going to do. If we're still talking about the same problems with these owners in 3 years' time, then hey, have at it in terms of criticizing them. Have at it with all the criticism, with all the stuff. We're talking about them after one season.
Plus,
and on top of that too, before you go, Andrew, I just want to point out that this issue didn't start. Where Chelsea is right now, it didn't start with Boehly. It started under Roman and has been exploited with the mistakes of the new ownership and what we have now with all the problems with the players and all that. So
we know it's their fault it went a mess. Like, majority went a mess because of
they kept the ball rolling, I would say. Something like that. Like they definitely, with the manager appointment, with sacking Tuchel and the appointment of Potter, they definitely exposed a lot of the issues that were already here, but they exacerbated, I would say.
Exactly. And listen, it all goes up. It all starts. It all comes from the top. Yes. At the end result, this is on them because they fired Tuchel and they hired Potter, and they sacked Potter too late, and they hired Lampard. Has a negative effect all the way around. Patrick, you can do the protest. I will say again, they signed a contract where they can't sell the club.
And with his cool shades.
Years, yeah? They can't sell it for 10 years. And if they were to break that, it's probably going to cost them more.
It started with Roman. It started with Roman.
No,
it started under Roman.
Listen.
No, he's not listening. He's just got his agenda. It's the mineral pills.
Listen. We're not saying... Listen, we were in decline in terms of league positioning for 5 years under the road, since 2017 under Roman. What's happened now is it's just sped up the whole process. Okay, we were slowly declining in the league.
You were.
Remember Tuchel's first season? It took Spurs beating Leicester for us to get top. I know we won the Champions League, stuff like that, but
Gareth Bale, man.
It's that. Look at last season. We had double digits lead over Spurs and Arsenal in third position, and it took till the second to last game of the season to confirm us in third place. In Sarri's season 18-19, we only got third because Arsenal and Manchester United fucked up their league season. Okay, we didn't get that. They fucked it up. Conte, he was pissed off and bought and played shitty players, and we finished fifth in 2017. And Lampard, for his credit, held on for the fourth spot, but that was only confirmed last day of the season, and he had a healthy lead over Manchester United.
That was the worst. That was the worst top four finish ever.
Exactly. So it's like
points tally.
What? I don't. It's like it's the same everything. The Champions League glossed over everything for everyone because we thought we only need a striker and we're going to win the league. So that's the only thing we're missing. Stuff like that.
Yeah. I will say, guys, 75 of you watching, do smash that like button. Patrick, I appreciate you being here. Try to keep that xenophobia in check, my friend. That's all I'll say. But I do want to end it on this right here. So the Athletic took polls of some recent questions that were brought up in regards to the management and, you know, Chelsea fans and all that stuff. So here is a poll. Who do you want to be the next permanent manager of the club? The majority of people voted Enrique. I was actually surprised how many people have Lampard over Ruben Amorim and Oliver.
I didn't realize I was on mute. As soon as you brought this up, I went, "Oh my god!" Didn't realize I was on mute, and it was literally because of that. Because I saw the amount of people that voted for Lampard. Absolutely.
Are you really surprised though?
Proper Chelsea, man.
I think. Can I be honest with you?
Sorry, Andrew. I'll say this is what I mean, by the way, when I said earlier that you can argue that the standards of this club died or on the decline since Lampard came in. Look at what him coming in as a manager has done to our club. You've got people that have witnessed what that have happened this season and under his entire tenure as manager of Chelsea Football Club.
Want him over Ruben
and people still want him at this football club because he gets the club. He's proper Chelsea. Yeah. He's the worst he is the worst manager, arguably, I've ever seen manage in the Premier League. Worse than Steve Bruce, worse than Roy Hodgson, Sam Allardyce, worse than all of them.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is worse than as well. And that's saying something.
Ole's the only one I'd argue, by the way. Ole's the only one I'd maybe argue against because he's
I'm just saying, but I think on this list, I think people mixed Amorim with the Newcastle player, and that's why they didn't vote for him. So that's why I think people don't know who Amorim is, and they think he's like the Newcastle player.
The Uruguayan.
Could it honestly do worse than Potter and Lampard? Could it do any worse?
Ruben Amorim?
No. The Amorim, the Newcastle player.
Yeah, the Newcastle.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, I don't even want to entertain that idea. The next poll that they had, and this is an interesting one: do you trust Boehly, Clear Capital ownership to make the right managerial appointment? It's right down the middle, pretty much.
I can understand that. I can
get it. They've made a lot of mistakes this season.
Yep. Yeah, I got no problem. I can understand that. I'm surprised it's not.
I'm surprised it's not mostly. No, yeah.
I'm surprised by that. So, listen, I totally understand that. They went. The timing's terrible. Sacking Tuchel's not the problem. It's the timing and who you replace him with. Yeah. Replacing with Potter, not good enough. Again, no problem sacking Potter. It's the timing. And then
I didn't have issues with the sacking of Tuchel. I had issues sacking him right after he didn't have enough time to even try his players.
It was the timing. If you're going to sack him, that's absolutely fine. You sack him when you come in. I'd say you sack him when you come in. You get your guy in straight away, or you at least give him a few weeks to use the guys he's brought in, like Aubameyang, etc.
For me, I was gonna say, for me, you don't sack Tuchel because you don't have any like football directors really. Marina's gone or going or whatever. Like no one's really looking. The only one who's really doing it is Todd Boehly. He was hands on, and to me, I don't trust Todd Boehly like as an owner, like who's not really had a huge football background in him. So you wait for like who you hire and then see who they say and listen to them.
Agreed.
Do you know what confuses me though about the Boehly thing though? Like the more I think about it, the more I just question of like why people are complaining in terms of he has basically handed all control in terms of most footballing decisions to the likes of Vivell, Stewart, Winstanley, because like basically all the signings we got in January were down to the guys we brought in. Like the decision to sack Potter was down to the guys like to Winstanley and Stewart. Like the decision to get Lampard was reportedly Boehly. Like and reportedly it's Vivell and like those guys that are pushing for Nagalsmann. So he's doing what everyone wants in terms of like he's listening to the guys around him, but that still isn't good enough. So I don't really get it, to be honest.
Exactly. It's what I said earlier. It's like you can't have it both ways. You can't say you want the owners to listen to the people that are brought in charge, and then the next day go, "I want Enrique," when reports are saying that the guys in charge, technical directors, don't want Enrique. So you can't actually go, because let's be obvious. I said it before. Enrique's free. He's there right now. Yeah. You could sign him up anytime. The fact that we've gone over 2 weeks with Potter and Enrique's not in charge would say to me that Enrique is not getting this job. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because he's willing to come in right now, which is what people want, and that's fine. So it says to me everything's signed up for Nagalsmann, and you should want then your owners to, of course, they should be involved in signing off on it. It's their club.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
of course. The other thing that I want to point out too, and I believe that Matt Law pointed this out in a tweet that I didn't have here, is that apparently it seems that the ownership and the board were open-minded to possibly entertaining Enrique, but after the presentation, there were some red flags there that they did not like and turned them away from.
He wanted too much control.
Yeah, that could have been something that was a deal breaker for them.
Or
so.
too much for their liking. Let's put it.
Yeah. We don't know what too much control is the thing as well. Like, we don't know whether that means full control over the signings, which if that's the case, there is literally no point for Vivell, Winstanley, and Stewart. Like, if Enrique has full control over the signings, their jobs, especially because like with Vivell, he was brought in to deal with the like multi-club thing, which hasn't started yet. So until that happens, he's basically dealing with the signing. So until that happens, his job is meaningless. The other guys is meaningless. So you're basically like you're paying a bunch of guys to do fuck all, basically. So yeah, it depends on what they mean by all control, because it could just mean I want to be involved in certain decisions, which if that's the case, that's not too bad. But it could mean, as I said, you want full control on everything to do with the sporting aspect or the on-pitch aspects of the club. So like signings, it could mean everything. And that's
you guys are having a weird party in the chat, by the way.
I'm not 100% sure, and I don't think he had full control of Barcelona. There's no way, right? So why would make him think he can have full control at Chelsea? Doesn't make any sense. Even no manager has had not even Jose Mourinho has had full control at Chelsea. Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way. It's foreign to British fans, but this is a European model. The managers are not managers; they're coaches. Okay, they just coach the players. They might have a little thing here and there, but it's really the board and that they bring in the players. Okay, it's the same at every European club. Okay. But it's just one of those things. What has someone put it in the chat? What has Enrique done to come to Chelsea and go, I want full control of this? I don't. For me, he hasn't earned that right.
Did he say he wanted full control?
Well, whatever he said, I've made.
Yeah, he said that he wanted. The report made it out like his demands were too much or something, but we don't know. We have no idea what that means. People are assuming it means want the yes man, but like he could want way too much control of something that where it doesn't make sense.
That's fair enough.
People obsolete.
I believe he should have a right to transfers though what he wants. Like,
you should have a say, but not full control. It's two different things.
Having a say, but that's the thing is most managers will have a say. It's like, but this is like as Andrew said earlier, Pep is an anomaly in terms of how much control he has over Man City. And it's because he has earned that right to have that control because of his work at Barcelona and to a lesser extent Bayern Munich. And again, he also had the people around him that knew what type of players he wanted.
They had the infrastructure set up a year before. They bought Sterling and De Bruyne for Pep. They put those two players, integrated them.
I'll say bar Pep. Can anyone else tell me another club where the manager gets full control over the guys they sign, over everything? I can tell you clubs, by the way, they're in the MLS, and do you know why they're that way? Because the manager also happens to be the director of football.
Yeah,
that's it.
Someone put it in the chat just a little minute ago. There's stories about Enrique with this thing going, I don't want this player, or we need to get new wingers and stuff like that. There's also a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago that he didn't really like a player like Nkuku, right? Stuff like that. And if that is true, and he said that about, and also to the guys who just spent this bunch of money on these players, we need to buy this and this. that might put them off. Where it's like someone's put it in the chat earlier, I forgot to put it in there, but like Nagalsmann's got in and said, "Yeah, I need a goalkeeper, a 6, and a striker," which is what we need. Right? So it's like I can work with. Or he's gone in and go, "Do you know what?
Yeah,
I need these. I haven't got a set who I want. You know, we can discuss, but I can work. I can work with the guy. I want to work with the guys who we've got here, something like that. Instead of like Enrique coming in and going, well, yeah, you bought these players, but I don't really want to work with most of them. Do you know what I mean? It's just that to an owner or to a hierarchy at a club, they're going to go, yeah, we just spent a lot of money putting this squad together. We want someone to come in and work with them. Do you know what I mean? Most of them, especially the new players that are coming in and the younger players. So maybe they were put off by that. But like I said, with all these stories, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt anyway.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna go ahead and continue this poll real quick. When it comes to new manager, what matters most? The majority of the people who voted here is long-term progression aimed at competing for the Premier League. So it seems that most of the fans still want a long-term project, despite what happened with Potter and what's happening right now.
We just want tangible progress.
Yeah. I
mean, trophies immediately is drastically low on this.
Pot would still be in a job with a few more wins and some type of progress.
Yeah, true. That's exactly. I've been saying this all season. Like, you can have progress with some wins. You don't have to have all this horrid.
I was going to say, like, even some of the performance he was having towards the end of his, some of the performances he was having towards the end of his tenure were like, if you take them in isolation, were good in terms of, or showed some progress. It just sucked in for him that it came after a run of just no wins, like 2-18 or whatever it was. Like, if that had happened at the start of his career, it would have given him more time because you could have seen that there was progress. It kind of sucks for him that he came in and had to deal with the squad that he did because of how fucked that squad was. And then, like, the fact he couldn't turn it around straight away after January, it just exacerbated everything, and it gave him such a short. It gave him such a short kind of margin for error, because like it got to a point where even the good performances didn't mean anything for some fans because we weren't getting wins.
Yeah, I agree, and also like maybe it's sort of the Bruno game and the last one of games, the Aston Villa game, is up there, and there was 2-0 is up there with the better performances recently.
Yeah.
So it's like football fans are very easy to please, right? We want to see good football or progression or playing well with wins, right? Or if it's a draw, like fight back to draw or something like that. Even defeat, we want to be able to say, oh man, we were so unlucky. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing, not go, my God, we're defeated before we even started. Do you know what I mean?
Dominated.
Football fans are very easy to please. It's like anything, you know. Like a year's time, we might have won 2 cups, be in the running for a top 4, and bought them Nagalsmann in, and we're playing good football. Where suddenly it goes, oh, actually, these owners are doing really great. Do you know what I mean? It can just flip like that. Do you know what I mean? It could happen.
The next poll that I have here is: do you agree with the decision to sack Potter? The vast majority of the fan base do agree. There is a small portion that disagree.
I would be interested to see if they expanded on this question with like something along like, do you agree with the decision to sack Graham Potter at the time he was sacked?
Yeah, do we know when this poll was released?
I'd say if it was the same, if it would have been the same like margin.
2 weeks ago.
So before Lampard was rehired?
It would have had to have been after.
Yeah, just after.
No, I think it was around the time that Lampard did get hired.
Yeah, it must have been just before.
See, that goes into my theory then, that the guys.
It was after Lampard got.
Here we go. This must have been literally just after he was hired then.
So do you agree with the decision to appoint Frank Lampard as an interim basis until the summer?
I guarantee you, by the way, if this was done now, that would be flipped.
Yep, exactly.
Man. This is ridiculous.
This is crazy.
Honestly, God.
Because I realized I said something as well on a stream. I was completely wrong when because I said on one of Lewis's streams that hiring Lampard was probably the best hire if you were going to do an interim manager. I'm completely wrong. Like when you look at the guys that are out there now, like again, I just having to say his name and associate with our club genuinely impressed me. I'd have rather got Sam Allardyce in.
Yeah. I think he's right. I would have got, like I said,
I don't disagree.
My thing was to go to England, say, can we have Steve Holland for the next 2 months? Because you're not doing anything until after the league. Because he's been at Chelsea before. He's coached under Mourinho and Conte. He's been here. He just got there. One of the key phrases, he knows the club. Everyone loves that one. But we only it's a dead season. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So just do that. But it's just embarrassing, really. And that I do blame on the owners. And I blame on the owners. I blame the owners for hiring Lampard back. That will affect some generation of Chelsea fans when they think of Lampard. Will only think of him as a manager first. And that's sad. But that is sad.
Crack me up as well, by the way. This idea as well that they get the club. If you want someone that gets the club, there are actually quite a few guys who are managers or have been managers who you could probably get on an interim basis that know the club. Andrei Shevchenko, for example, is a manager who's better than Lampard. You could probably get him. Ruud Hullit's another one who is a manager, isn't currently in a job right now. I know it was a while ago, but you could maybe convince him to manage the club for a few days. Like Gianfranco Zola's another one, again better manager than Lampard. I could keep going if I did enough research of finding guys. Paul Clement's another one.
Pirlo over Lampard.
But the thing is this, right?
He's in a job. He's unfortunate in a job.
The thing is this with Lampard, right? When a new stadium is built, wherever it's built, right? Lampard should be the first player to have a statue raised, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm worried about having that statue raised, what people will do to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like he should not. That's what I'm talking about. It's like some generation will, why were you hiring a statue for Lampard? He's our greatest ever player. Yep. Whatever you think about it, he's a greatest ever player for me. And I'm just worried that Lampard's shit. The thing when you think about Lampard now when he's Chelsea, he's a shit manager. Yeah, the player thing comes later, way down later, and it's like you shouldn't have taken this job. This is on him as well. He shouldn't have taken this. This is where his ego comes into it. You shouldn't have taken this job. You're not good enough. You're simply not good enough. If Everton go down, as good as Sean Dyche is, I know he's been in there for a few months, but you would have done the damage to take them down. And the fact that people keep forgetting, he's brought his Everton coaching staff with him. Do you know what I mean? So it's not even Lampard and the coaching staff who were there with Potter. It's Lampard and the rest of the guys. Like I said it yesterday. I wasn't even sure the background. Ashley Cole, bro, get yourself away from Frank Lampard right now. If you want any future in this coaching thing, all of you guys step away from Frank Lampard because he's a big shit. And
you know
being
the thing with Ashley Cole as well, and this isn't.
I don't think of anything else to say.
No, that's fair. But
He's just one big turd.
The thing with Ashley Cole as well, and I don't really get it because we got again. It goes back to what was mentioned about Enrique. This is no disrespect to Ashley Cole, but what has he done in terms of the coaching game to warrant being a coach for Chelsea Football Club for the men's?
Coaching under 15s.
He was a Chelsea youth coach before Everton.
Yeah. So.
No. We're saying that. No. What we're saying is he was that. He wasn't like he was anywhere else. He was just the Chelsea under 15s.
No, but that's what I mean. Legend of the game, but he's done nothing in his coaching career to warrant him getting this job.
That position, yeah.
It's the same thing with Lampard It's the same thing with Lampard. He's done nothing in his coaching career to warrant a job like this.
But the thing is, President Jafar
this is more of an overarching statement. But what the fuck is it with English clubs doing this with players? Why are you? Why? What have these guys done to warrant this job?
President Jafar, right. I respect what you're saying and stuff like that. You're a great contributor to loads of streams. I've seen you on loads. The thing is this. We were told when he came in, right, that it's to galvanise the players, the team, the club, stuff like that, yeah? All crap, right? When an interim comes in, because remember, we're not talking about a month. It was 2 months. Okay. Let's get the players' confidence back so when a new manager comes in, he doesn't have to, he can just take that on. But now you've got this guy who doesn't do it like we just said earlier, wasn't focusing on tactics, never does, maybe apart from yesterday, just the execution of them. And now you know, people are going, oh, it's just vibes, or we weren't expecting stuff and stuff like that. I think that's where you need to look at the situation and go, we've done very well with interim managers. He's got good hitting twice with an interim manager. He won on his first stint, he won the FA Cup and got us third. We were in the Champions League final with him. And maybe and to a certain extent he was helped by the players that are already there, including Frank Lampard, there to help him do that. But I just think to actually just accept things, oh, well, I didn't expect much, then why sack Potter in the first place? Right?
Also,
if you didn't expect much, why sack him? Just wait till the summer then.
Going on interims, by the way, someone we talked about earlier, who I again would argue is one of the worst managers I've ever seen in the Premier League, in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, came in as an interim, and helped. Like, you can say what you want about him after this season, but that season where he was appointed interim was actually pretty good, and he actually set up a system where it got the best out of Pogba, and they managed to beat a good PSG team. They came back to beat a good PSG team in the Champions League.
And also,
he is a shit manager. He's a garbage manager.
And also, Anthony Martial's had his best goal scoring season ever for Man United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're right. You can go. That was some vibes, but when you give someone a permanent contract, I know we're not going to give Lampard one now, and we probably won't anyway. Maybe just because I was just so annoyed that we hired him back in the first place. But that's what I'm saying. Just announce the manager. I think Ben Jacobs made me laugh at this thing. They're going to do it by May or mid-May. Or mid-May still May. Right? It's just, that's the thing. Announce the manager now. But like I say, maybe with Nagalsmann they can't because there's something in his contract with Bayern.
I think that's definitely a big factor. And look, it looks like they're moving a lot faster than I anticipated. I don't like that Pochettino's thrown into the mix, but then again, he's definitely going to be better than Lampard. And who knows if there's other people involved. Andrew, I know you like Pochettino as an option.
It's not that. It's the fact that I think Chelsea fans, because he managed Spurs.
I look at what happened at PSG, but yeah, continue.
Okay, but he won the things at PSG. Look at Emery. He won things at PSG. He didn't win the Champions League, and look what he's doing with Villa. And now 12 points ahead of us. After being 12 points behind us.
He could make a big difference at Chelsea. I'm not doubting the ability. I have doubts that he could be. Yeah, that's my doubt. Nagalsmann, I could see
3 years.
Yeah, Nagalsmann, I could see being long term. I could see Enrique being a long term. Pochettino, I don't know. We'll see. But I think with the board, everyone seems to be on board. No pun intended on that one. With Nagalsmann, and I don't think he would be that bad of an appointment. I think this team, we discussed this in previous Casually FCs, I think this team does suit a Nagalsmann style of play. We'll see what happens. But that being said, we gave you a giant show. It's been a week and a half overdue. We're probably going to do it again on Sunday to talk about some of the player signings and in and outs that I have saved up that we haven't discussed. And more news that's probably going to be coming up about managers and all that stuff. So, guys, thank you very much for watching. We're going to go ahead and raid Sarcasm City. He's live right now discussing the Liverpool defeating Leeds, right? And then Sevilla and United game coming up.
It's the Arsenal
tomorrow.
Liverpool show. Man United Liverpool show.
Yeah. So go check them out. Big them up. Also, make sure you use this in their stream. Spam the raid message. That way they know where you're coming from. But if you haven't done so already, do smash that like button for me, guys. It does help out the channel immensely. You have no idea how much it helps. Thank you, everyone who came here to watch. Thank you. Big up to Chris, Oliver, Andrew, Scott for coming onto the panel. And we'll be back again. Like I said, I think Sunday there might be another stream happening before that, but you have to have the bell notification turned on so that you know when we go live. So make sure you do that if you haven't done so already. Subscribe if you're new. Check out the links in the description. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought about the show and anything that we discuss. But until next time, guys, we'll catch you, and you guys stay casual.